Hello everyone, it's Mir, and this is not a chapter review for Vinland Saga, chapter 221, Thousand Year Voyage, part 250. This is a group review and discussion of Claymore by Norihiro Yagi. I'm joined by my friend Kyle Entertainment, and this was his idea, so I'm going to pass that off to him.
Now, would you call two people a group? My goodness.
Oh, yes.
Perhaps.
Compared to the usual on this channel, I would say it's a very large
usual
group.
Solo. It took every fiber of my being not to yell, thank God, when he said this is not a Vinland Saga chapter review, because, I'd be hating on Vinland Saga sometimes.
You should have. That would have been a funny bit.
Only jokingly. I promised Mia that I would not interrupt the introduction here. We had merely Vinland Saga. We had merely Buster. We had merely a lady on fire. Now we've got merely Clay? Merely Moore? What? There's no good name for this one. This is no good. But in saying that, Mr. Mia, Mrs. Mia, my goodness.
Does not matter.
I gotta get the pronouns right. This is going off to a great start.
Well, first let me say, I've done a couple of videos with Kyle. None have been on this channel, so this will be the first one on my channel. We have done quite a few Vinland videos. I think the first stuff we did together was the Vinland Season 2. Yes. We did a couple of Vinland chapter discussions. And
they've all selfishly been on my second channel.
Which I don't mind. But we also have done Portrait of a Lady on Fire very recently, which everyone should check out.
That got a decent amount of views, actually.
Did it actually?
I think it got like 150 or something. It was not terrible.
Were the comments mad at you, as always?
I don't remember. Probably not. I was saying nice things in that one.
Oh, true. And we also did Fire Punch, Gunbuster. Am I missing
Diebuster?
And of course, can't forget Diebuster.
Much superior Diebuster,
so,
of course.
My point, there is a pretty large library to go back through. So definitely check out all those videos on Kyle's channel, which will be linked in the description. Whoa. So, we're here to read Claymore, which again was your idea, so now you may do your spiel.
Claymore, you say. Claymore, stylized in all caps, is a Japanese dark fantasy manga series written and illustrated by Norihiro Yagi. It debuted, oh my god, that's an Australian word where you say debuted, in Shueisha's Shonen Manga Magazine Monthly Shonen Jump in June of 2001. The world was still in darkness in June of 2001. In July of 2001, little trivia for everybody, the world got a lot brighter. Want to take a guess why, Mia?
I zoned out.
I was born in June of 2000. No, July of 2001. It was a little joke anyway.
It
continued until the magazine was shut down in June of 2007. The series was transferred to the newly launched Jump Square, serialized from November 2007 to October 2014. Its chapters were collected in 27 tankobon volumes, of which we have read roughly 6.5 for this video. We are doing chapters 1 through 30, which ends an arc. Now, I don't exactly remember what the arc is called because I read these a month and a half ago. What's it called? It's not Teresa of this. The
Slayers
something
was the
smile.
last arc we were on.
The Slayers. That's right. I do recall that from when I was scrubbing through chapters just recently. But that is Wikipedia's description of Claymore there, to catch anybody up that doesn't know anything. Claymore is about a girl that fights monsters with a sword, is sort of what I understood it to be when we agreed to do this. We had a big list of things to do, of potential mutual interest. I can't remember what any of the other ones were now. I think we nearly did The Sopranos, but that bastard Jackie Bacon, that no-good elite RE, they said we'd like to be included in that. And we were looking for a solo series, especially a manga to get into after that. So we chose Claymore, girls, swords. Those are mutual interests here. But Claymore, my background with Claymore is very little. I've always heard of Claymore. I feel like the first time I would have heard of Claymore was probably early getting into YouTube anime days in like 2014 or something, where I'm sure I saw a glass reflection review of the Claymore anime series. Claymore does have an anime series. I think it's 26 episodes long. I assume it doesn't adapt the whole story. I'm pretty sure it came out before 2014, so it probably didn't if that's when the manga ended. And it's a girl with a sword. It is commonly compared to Berserk and Attack on Titan. The Attack on Titan draft chapter, which I'm not sure if you've ever read, Mia,
no, I haven't.
is very much... Wait, what did you say?
I have not.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Is very much like the Claymore first chapter. It's like very, very similar. Like a vague character shows up. It's not Eren yet. Shows up to like a village that's being attacked by a Titan and like has to save him, and the ODM gear is kind of in it. The Attack on Titan draft chapter is kind of interesting. There's like a very obvious Gabby character, like 100 chapters before she'd ever be introduced.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a little wacky, but I got my start on YouTube with silly Attack on Titan. So, well, not kinda. That's where I rose to prominence a little bit first, we'll say. And a lot of the time, it's usually called Berserk with girls. Mostly because there's a lot of black swordsman parallels a little bit, especially towards the beginning. It's a stoic person traveling around fighting monsters. You kind of get the picture. And Berserk is like the one manga everybody knows, I guess. I have that written out here. A stoic blonde girl with a sword fighting monsters was my impression going in. History with Claymore. There is an anime. I haven't really seen it. I think I might have watched like the first 20 seconds of the intro, but I did think the anime looked ugly, and I said, later. So that is my background with Claymore. I didn't know any like plot points at all going in. I didn't know the girl's name was Claire. I didn't know that she was traveling around with the little boy. I really didn't know much at all. So that would be the extent of my history with Claymore. What about you?
That is kind of about the same for me. I think this is one that I heard of when I was first really getting into manga as like a hobby. Because I had been into manga and anime for much of my life, but I didn't really lock in until later on. And around the time when I read Berserk, this was one that came up too as another on the list to read. I think, I don't know what stopped me from checking it out. I think for a while I just knew it'd be a bit of a daunting, large read, but it doesn't actually seem as long as I thought it would be. Maybe it is not that bad in terms of, length and commitment, I feel like. But I was also always a little 50-50 on the art style, and I think I still am, but I think it's also grown on me a lot. It has a very distinct look to it that I can see taking some getting used to for some people, because that was my experience, but it's still like very well drawn, very beautiful. It's the character designs have like a very stylized look to them that took me some time.
Yeah, I don't think I'd seen the art at all. I don't think I had an understanding of what it looked like before. Actually, like 2 months ago, I might have looked at like the first chapter and scrolled through it a little bit, because I did it with a few manga, and I ended up deciding to read Monster then. And it's a similar length. Actually, no, I think is it shorter than Monster? It might be, actually. I think Monster is in the 200s, and this is only like 167 chapters or something. So that also like reconjugged my like, oh, it's not that long, so yeah, we can read it. Also, just for a note, the anime came out in 2007, which is like about halfway through the manga's run. So that's interesting.
That's crazy.
I know people generally like the anime, but I really don't know any of the discourse. So
I didn't even know it had an anime. I think I had heard a lot of talk about the manga, and I also saw it in a bookstore a couple times. So I may have looked through the first volume a little bit at one point, but I didn't remember anything. So I at least had a sense for what the art looked like. Yeah, and it definitely, I feel like the art starts off.
It definitely gets better,
good, but it kind of immediately gets better. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, initially, I guess we're kind of getting into a point here, which we're not supposed to do until the big reveal of what we think. My goodness, me, I'm breaking the rules.
So sorry.
On your channel, what was I going to say? Don't let me go on tangents, Mia. What are we doing here? I forgot things.
Well, I was talking about how the art got better pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think when I first started, I did think chapter 1 was kind of ugly.
Yes.
So I was definitely on board with that. It eventuates into the Berserk like inspiration is very clear. I don't really get any Attack on Titan inspiration. If anything, I think it definitely goes, well, obviously Attack on Titan didn't start for 8 years after Claymore started. Attack on Titan starts in 2009, by the way. I just know these facts off the top of my head. I know everything.
True.
It's obviously the other way, where I think Claymore is kind of influential in Attack on Titan in a few ways. The Berserk like influence is very, very clear. Other than just like these, like there's a very, very obvious Casca reference. with the girl that looks just like Casca in the I think it's the last arc actually. We can talk about that a little bit later. And there's other things, and the art too. It feels kind of Berserk light.
It is.
Where even I think in the image we chose for the background of this, like the way that the texture on the shadows is exactly like how Golden Age Berserk is drawn. The leaves are a very Berserk touch. There are leaves everywhere when they're running through the forest, all on the ground, and there are lots of leaves on the forest, especially towards. It's like in the beginning of the third act of the Golden Age when they're in the forest and the Guts Casca sex scene happens there, and there's lots of leaves on the ground. I always notice the leaves on the ground and how good they look, and they look very similar in there. Which is it's interesting. Those little art flourishes. I did notice. I guess we're talking about art generally right now.
Yeah.
There are very little like establishing shots of anything. It seems like we didn't really want to draw large establishing shots. Like Berserk, you would always get like a massive establishing shot halfway through a chapter for no reason, just to flex or whatever. Villain Saga is very similar. You would always get like the shot of the fort or the castle or whatever. I guess Villain Saga didn't have too many castles actually. So I felt like that was maybe an artistic limitation. It could just be a time limitation. I'm not sure. There are obviously very standout moments of incredible art and incredible like character designs and stuff. But I definitely think the art builds. And I assume for every mangaka is they're sort of getting into the rhythm of things. They sort of understand how to divvy out their time better and focus on what the certain things they want to focus on and stuff like that. But yeah, knowing that it's because the chapters are relatively long and it's a monthly series, so these are all like factors
I think that was
when thinking about the art.
You made a good point that especially when it goes to like a double page spread, I feel like in a lot of times where Berserk would take like a very large shot to show like scale and scope. And pretty much it always does a double page spread here when it wants to show something with the characters. Usually the background is just supplemental. Or an action shot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You are right. It's either an action shot or or like a big character moment, which obviously you like to do double page spreads to like emphasize the moment, stuff like that. Yeah. It's also very interesting, and it must be how the magazine is structured. Actually, I don't know if that's true, but every second page, the pages 2 and 3 are always a double spread. I think in every chapter. And sometimes there's other ones, like there's a back-to-back double page spread that I want to talk about later. That's like maybe my favorite moment so far, which is really cool.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was epic. But yeah. So they do it more often sometimes. I always say they sometimes when I'm talking about manga, but it's just one bloke. But yeah, the art. I definitely like the art by the end. Even when I was scrolling through as we were looking for an image for the video right before, I started at the back end because I'm like, oh yeah, there's like a bunch of double-edged spreads at the back end. And as I was like, and I think I skipped from like chapter 12, and I was like, chapter 1 probably has a good image that would be a good background that would summarize the whole manga or something of Claire just walking somewhere. And I went back and I was like, oh, look at this art. And especially...
I agree.
Yeah, the double page spread of the action shot of her cutting the monster in half in the first chapter, I do think is really ugly. I don't like how it looks at all.
It definitely doesn't have the impact I would have wanted from the first double page spread, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it wasn't the first in the whole chapter, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think it builds. But should we move into our official predictions and reveals of our overall thoughts on certain things here?
I guess I would close out the expectations part with all I really thought when I was going into it was pretty much exactly what you said, Berserk, but girls with swords. So I didn't have super high expectations, but I don't know, comparing to Berserk is also pretty high expectations. So
even though Mia hates Berserk, gave it a 0 out of 10.
Key. Nah, I'm not gonna say that.
I guess. Everyone on your channel knows you're big into Vinland Saga, and of course, Midland Saga is a great 9 out of 10, and the Great Berserk, obviously, 10 out of 10. I'm a big Berserk fan. Probably my favorite manga. Half of the manga I've read, I think I've given a 10. We got Berserk is a 10, Chainsaw Man is a 10, Attack on Titan is a 10, Devil Man is a 10. That's like half the manga I've read.
Now, is Chainsaw Man a 10 until the end of part 1, or were you feeling the whole 10s through part? Awesome. I love part 2.
Have you seen our second to most recent Chainsaw Man chapter review at all?
Oh, I may have missed that one. I think I watched the most recent one.
Yeah, because I reread basically all of part 2 like the other week, and I think it's like great when you read it that way. So I do think
I need to do the same thing, I think.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so great when it does, like, there's a whole joke chapter and you don't feel like it's like wasting time or like biding time. It's like, oh,
True.
This is great. Anyway,
Claymore.
One time Denji gets promised women and he like teleports down the stairs. Hilarious. Anyway, and just before we move on too, you brought up an interesting thing about expectations. I think expectations, I used to, for a long time, whenever I would stream, when I would talk in unscripted content, I would say, if you fall victim to expectations, it's like a skill issue, you're just an idiot. But I found very recently that I have fallen victim to expectations a lot. And like Monster is a big one recently where I read it, and I think it's like an 8 out of 10. But it like annoys me so much that people really like it that I like, whenever I talk about it, I'm always shitting on it. I'm always like, how can people think this is good? Like, even though I don't actually think it's that bad, it's just the expectation going in. I was waiting for it to become like the greatest manga of all time, and it never really did for me. So I sort of get mad at it that way. I just finished Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Try and say that name fast, I dare you. And it was a similar thing where everybody's saying it's like the greatest game of all time, like game of the year and stuff like that. And I played and I was like, oh, you know, it ain't no Naughty Dog game. And I would also give that like an 8 out of 10. And and I do seem to talk about it negatively whenever I bring it up, because it's like, because the conversation is so much about it being a 10 out of 10 greatness thing, you sort of want to revert back. With Claymore, I know people generally like it. It's usually not in the category of like the best manga ever. I don't know where it is on Mal.
Yeah.
I think I did look it up. I think it was in like the hundreds or something. But because it was sort of free of high expectations, I think it probably did affect how I view it generally, which I guess I'm not saying it. So calm down there. Don't jump ahead of the thing. Me and Alita Ree, a fellow collaborator of ours, whenever we do a thing now, and we are much more in tune with what each other thinks about things than me and Mia are, I guess, but we love to do a funny thing where Alita Ree, especially when it's usually me showing something to Alita Ree that I really like and him showing me something he really likes. So it's very funny when we're like, we're doing Sherlock season 1 and it's a show that he thinks is great, and he's like freaking out like, I know you're going to hate this, I know you're going to hate this, and he's freaking out and I make him predict what I think, and then to surprise him. This is good in our Wonder Egg priority conversation. I'm just chilling here, where he was adamant that I wasn't going to like it, and then I liked it more than he did, and that was crazy. Now, for this, I don't think we're going to have such a payoff, but I guess I'll go first and predict what Mia thought about Claymore.
Sure.
Now, if we are doing, it's a little bit like Berserk. Now, that would indicate that maybe Mia might not like Claymore that much. Now, girls, swords. Nope, brings it up maybe a point. Also, you got to consider, and this is kind of cheating on our end, I read all of Claymore like very, very quickly, like a month and a half ago, which probably indicates which direction you go in. Mia put it off for a long time. Now, you kind of said to me before this that you did kind of read it all last night, but that was also because we had a deadline. So I don't think that's an indication of what overall you would probably think. So I'm going to say you probably think it's a good start. You give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. Now, don't say what you think, Mia. Say what you think I think first.
Well, I definitely think the fact that you read through it so quickly makes me think that you really liked it. And I also just think, even before that, the whole premise from everything we have discussed together so far, I feel like this has, it may not be like your favorite thing ever, but this has all of the elements that you tend to like. It's a little less silly than I think, because I think you do like a lot of silly things. And things that aren't
Momo from Diabus.
The great Momo, yes. Things that don't take themselves too seriously. And Claymore definitely takes itself very seriously. But you like a lot of serious things. So the Great Puck, exactly.
Yes.
So I think it checks a lot of boxes. So I feel like you're at an 8 and you're very optimistic of where it can go from there.
Okay, so who's gonna go first with the real answers here?
I can go because you predicted mine first, right? So
yes, okay. Take it easy. Everybody get excited.
I did not read it all last night. I read it all the night before. But so I would say it started off as as I expected, where it was kind of like hovering around 6 to 7, where I wasn't excited. It actually feels very similar in its start to Berserk, and I feel like Monster as well, where you kind of just you get the two, like, the stoic character, or at least like the more serious character, and you get the comedy relief, kid sidekick character. You get them together, they're now traveling together, things are happening. It feels like the story is kind of just establishing itself. So that's what I expected. But then there was a moment where I kind of locked in. I'm like, okay, I'm liking this. This is good. And then there was the moment of no return. This is very, very good. So I think by the end of this set of chapters, I was sitting more at like an 8. Pretty much where I think you're probably sitting with it.
Do you want to say what the moments are?
Yeah, so I think the setup for the what was it? I forget the name of the arc, but like I think it was called
the Cathedral one.
Yes, the Cathedral one. Yes, the Cathedral one. That's when I felt like okay, this isn't anything unique, but it is good. I just simply enjoyed it. I think it's when we got to the Teresa arc and the exact page we have as the background here, when it's revealed that this is like Claire's backstory.
Yeah,
that was the moment. Like I kind of sat up in my chair, like, okay, they're cooking. This is good.
It is a great twist where it's like you think it's like one of her contemporaries, and it's like, oh, we're gonna come back to Claire soon, and they're stories are going to converge, and then you realize, oh, it's a backstory one. This is kind of crazy,
right? Yeah, because they introduce the one, like Claire has to kill her friend or something.
Yes,
like
early on. Yes,
I forget the character's name, but
I think it's like chapter 4 or something. Yeah,
it was. Oh yeah, it was the end of chapter 4. So I was thinking like, oh, okay, there's another one of those, and I was actually kind of excited because I was thinking, oh, this is kind of like. Because Monster does this a lot, where the focus will go away from Tenma for a while, and then it'll really go away for a while, and you'll have a whole almost plotline focus on some random character, and then all of a sudden it jumps back. I love it. And because when it comes back to Tenma, that's like the best part of Monster every time it happens, because you're like, oh my god, Tenma's back. And I thought it might be like that.
It's also an indication this is just a stupid Monster point, but it's also an indication that like the plot is ramping up. It's like this is like a Berserk thing too. Is like Zod and Skull Knight will just show up out of nowhere, and you're like, oh my god, it's the climax of the arc. I didn't realize. Yep, and they're just like here now, and it's like, oh, okay, shit's getting real. Yeah.
It wasn't what I thought was happening, because I thought we were going somewhere else in the world, and I was actually kind of excited at the idea, like, oh, it's called Claymore, like maybe it's going to be about multiple Claymores, which it kind of is.
Yeah.
That's one thing I didn't expect, actually, that there are so many other Claymores, like it's a whole organization, and because I kind of thought she was just like, and obviously chapter 1 tells you that it's like, it is a world building thing, and not just her being her, but
she's got the guy following her around, and there's some sort of system here.
Yeah, there's a system, exactly.
We get a definitive number, right?
She is number 40. It was either 47 or 45.
Yeah,
but she's bottom of the barrel. She is the lowest rank.
Well, kind.
Which is kind of crazy. That was a pretty cool reveal.
Well, but it's pretty obvious it's going to be it's not entirely true.
Of course, but it is a cool thing that, because she is like, we can get into it more later, but she's very specialized, but like thinking that realizing how high the ceiling is in terms of just the flat out power, that's pretty cool. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But we got to get into what you think.
Oh my goodness. I think you were generally spot on, and I think we are pretty much the same, where it's like the beginning is pretty okay. It has that new manga feeling, or just new long form storytelling feeling, where you're like, everything is like an introduction thing. You're like, oh, this is interesting, and this is interesting, and oh, this could go in all these different directions, and there's so much mystery abound about what's going to happen. So I feel like the beginning of every story sort of gets this leniency if it's like basic level competent. And I didn't think it was bad at all. I was just like, oh, so we're in a village and there's a stoic girl. I guess the most generic part, or maybe the downtrodden thoughts, are sort of the dynamic of like the kid's name is Raki, right? Is that his name?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yes, Raki. I have it written down, Raki. So I'm gonna assume that's Raki. Where like their dynamic is like, and this kind of comes to a fore in the church place arc. I had a word for that. The cathedral sounds
yes,
cool.
Cathedral.
The cathedral arc, where like the climax is sort of like, oh, she like has ultimate power when she needs to protect him or whatever. And it's like, I don't know how I feel about this dumb little kid. And like, okay, this is like Puck following around Guts, or even Isidro following around Guts. And it's like, oh, I see.
Very Isidro, the way he's like so defensive of Claire. He's very like, he can like get a little aggressive. He's not like Isidro, like, I want to fight, I want to be like you. But
well, Isidro is a coward too. Isidro is just very different because he also like makes fun of Guts and doesn't realize Guts is like his mythical hero. Stop me from going into these Berserk tangents. Well, actually, we got a whole tangent about Berserk later. He also seems older than Isidro.
Definitely,
and it seems like we're maybe. It's kind of like have you seen Heavenly Delusion at all?
I saw up to the end of the anime.
Okay. It's in there. I've read all of Heaven. Well, actually, I haven't. I'm a few chapters behind, but I've read all of Heavenly Delusion. No biggie. The dynamic between I'm flexing that I've read it. Can I remember the two main characters' names? Oh my goodness. Kiriko and the other, where it's like the guy is younger, but he's like clearly has a crush on the girl, and it's kind of like, how is this going to resolve? Because they keep reiterating the crush, which would make you seem like it's building up to them getting together in a sort of way.
I don't think so. I think it's just like
I don't think is possible. But this is anime, we get a little weird out here. And they keep doing it here. Now, I'm almost certain in this they're not going to end up together. I'm just curious, especially because we haven't really cut back to them as the focus much at all since we cut away from the cathedral arc, really, because he's left behind in the most recent arc we read. I'm almost certain they're not going to like end up together just because he is so young. I'm just wondering how this will like resolve. Also, it was really when that one guard guy like kissed her. That was crazy.
That was crazy. And
the stoic girl character never gets kissed. I was my heart flooded. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so invested in this romance of this guy that made fun of her for a little bit.
Not like that guy at all.
This little twink guy. I was like, oh my god, I want her to go on a date and see what she's like. I mean, most of it is the interest in like Claire of like, what would she be like in this situation when she's like so stoic. I don't know. That's very interesting. I assume now it's going to be a boring way they're going to come back to it. One day they're going to be one day Claire's going to get in a big battle. She's going to get injured. She's going to pass out. And she's going to wake up. She's going to be back in the city, and he's going to be there like whistling or something, and be like, "I can help you out" or something. But they're not going to really develop the romance plot. Or they'll do that evil Full Metal Alchemist / Naruto manga / Vinland Saga manga trope of like the end of the manga will cut forward and they'll be married. Now those relationships are built up where that has to be the case, right? Like Thorfinn and Gudrun are obviously going to get together. This is just a one-note character I don't even remember the name of, so it's entirely possible we never even see him again.
I think this is just going to be like a one-sided like child. I think it's more like to hype up her beauty and the mysticism around her. Like he's very enthralled with her, and like
if she ever gets a boyfriend, it's gonna be that guy though.
I cannot picture this character having romance.
Just don't think. I don't know. He's like, no. I feel like this guy. It's like a trope that this type of guy always gets the stoic girl when the stoic girl has to get got. Like I feel like I just know in my bones that if let's do a bet. Me and Alita Rio always do bets in Chainsaw when we always drop. If she gets a boyfriend, it'll be this guy. Let's bet 5 minutes of uninterrupted talking time in the final Claymore video. I don't know. I know what the fuck we would bet.
I would bet that that there's no relationship.
Yes, that's probably the case.
Okay,
she's not going to ever have a boyfriend.
All right, fine.
She's too committed to the mission. She's going to die tragically at the end.
Then we have to bet on the premise that a boyfriend happens, in which case What if it's a girlfriend? What if it's a girlfriend, Kyle?
Now, I forgot to say this. Somebody in my stream implied, I think it was CeeLo Pilled, shout out to my chatters in my stream chat, implied that like, it was fitting that we were doing this after Portrait of a Lady on Fire because this is also like girl love stuff.
What?
I don't, but then CeeLo Pilled backtracked and said, I don't even know if that's true. I think that's just what I've heard. And also it could be other girls. There's a trillion girls in this one, so it might not be Claire. So, maybe that is what's going to happen.
Well, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if romance within
some of these girls are kissing in this
Claymores.
manga. That's another bet and a definitive. Even if it's just Ymir and Historia kissing off screen, there's going to be some implication that two of them are in love. It might be the number 2 and oh no, those girls died, huh? The number 2 and the number 3 girl, they were in love. Remember those guys?
I do. I could buy that. I could buy that. I do think actually it's so interesting that it's almost like I feel like it's got to be likely that they would try to tackle what is romance like for Claymores. Does it happen, especially with them working together and being so close? What if the friend that she killed was actually an ex-girlfriend? Whoa.
Well, then it would be lame they didn't flesh that out when she cut her fucking head off or whatever.
Well, because she's so cold and it's part of her job.
But I don't know, if they retroactively did that, I would be like, I kind of see the vibe there. They were smiling at each other and she died stoically. I would buy that. I bet there's side Claymore romance. And as we've established, she's in love with this boy. What's his name? I'll never remember.
So, now, do you think, real quick, that we will get more to Claire's backstory at any point? Or do you think we've kind of seen what we need to see?
I feel like we kind of got, because a bunch of this, and probably I think we would both agree, the best well, I don't know, the stuff afterwards was pretty good too. The best portion is sort of the Claire backstory part.
I think so too.
I don't know, I think certainly. I feel like that this is another manga anime trope where like you get the most of the backstory early on, but I bet there's like a character that's going to be important later on that she'll have met in the past and we'll get a flashback to that or something, and that'll be one of the most important characters come the climax. I don't know. I feel like there's no way we don't see a scene at some point with the friend that she killed. I feel like their training, they've alluded to it being like brutal and stuff. I feel like we would probably get flashbacks of that. I feel like we probably, whatever school they go to, obviously we're going to get reveals about this organization and the shadowy men that follow her around, and the shadowy men that is following them around in like the last chapter we read, who is a weird monster-looking guy. I feel like these guys are sitting behind a desk or sitting on a balcony looking down and looking at all the trainees, and Claire's down there, and they're like, this one has no potential. She sucks or something as motivation. I can see that scene happening.
True. I can see that.
So I think there will be a little bit more. So yeah, I think so.
So your overall, though, we kind of diverted from that. Are you sitting at 8 like I am?
Yes, I think it's interesting because I also talked about this in my Claire Obscure PowerPoint where I was like the positive 8 versus the negative 8, and the negative 8 is like everybody says this is a 10, but I think it's an 8, the negative 8, and then there's like the normal 8 of something you really enjoy. I would say it's like an 8. I feel like there are moments that go above an 8, which is usually what I look for in like a series that I would like continue reading, where I would be like excited to read it. Because I feel like I read like 20 chapters in one sitting or something.
I think that's exactly what I did too. The back end,
because I also
flew through it.
Also, my idea, because we don't know like the trajectory of Claymore, and there was no one in my audience that had like a good guide. I just said we should read like the first 5 volumes or something, and then I didn't want to stop. So, and also it was like in the middle of the last arc, so I was like, all right, let's just read to the last arc, which ended up being chapter 30, which is a nice little round number. So I did force us to read more than we were going to because I was having so much fun. It hasn't even come over me. Like, in part of me, because it's been like a month, I'm like, Claymore's finished. I read the whole thing. But it's like, oh my God, I can read some more Claymore after this. This is going to be exciting. So I am a very positive, enthusiastic, excited 8 out of 10. The fact that it did have moments that I thought were better than that makes me feel like it's not going to coast, and it has the potential to be better and grow stronger.
Agreed.
So I'm very optimistic about the future of Claymore. But yes, probably about an 8. My note I have written down here, but a good 8, not a bad 8 like Monster. Gee, I always know what I'm going to say in the past. I should just listen to myself. I've been obsessed with wanting to continue since I had to stop. I just said that. I thought to continue to progress nicely, both in terms of story and quality and art. I said both at the beginning of that, but that was 3 things, so that was a little stupid. But that's what notes are for. But yeah, that's the overall thoughts. We'll dive into all these things in greater depth, I think. The next note I have is a short summary. Do you want me to read this out just again for anybody that might be listening? And it's very short. It's like there's an initial journeying around period, monster of the week type chapters. Those are like the first 4 chapters. I think there's 3 different villages we go to, and we sort of fight a monster. And it's like, oh, this monster is a little stronger. And then she fights a group of monsters. And then we get the chapter where she has to go and kill her old friend because Claymores, like every time they use their powers, they're growing a little bit weaker, and the monster inside of them is going to take over because, oh, well, I guess this is like the premise. There's these creatures called Yoma. They're scary man-eaten monsters, is what we're led to believe. And they go around and they can camouflage themselves. That's probably not the right word. They can transform into humans and hide among human civilization. But at night or something, when nobody's looking, they transform into the monsters, eat a guy, leave the corpse in the crowd, and the town goes into an uproar. And they got to call in the great Claymores over here to come in because the Claymores, because they're part Yoma, they can sense them and they got super fighting abilities and stuff like that, so they can match the monster, etc., etc. Though the implication that they have to like sort of hide means like if a village knew where a Yoma was, like a normal Yoma, they could probably all gang up and kill it. But you just bring in the it's like a, what do you call it, a witch hunt or whatever. It's like, well, that's like a fake hunt. It's like that murderer game. You don't know who the murderer is, so you'd call in the Claymore. It's practical, is what I'm trying to justify here. Anyway, so there's some chapters like that where we're just journeying around a little bit, these Black Swordsman-like chapters. Then there's a holy city arc where we go to a holy city and there's a cathedral and there's a Yoma clearly in the cathedral. And the guy that has recruited the Claymores aren't supposed to be in this holy city or something because they're like weird monster. They're all a part of this weird, I think it's like a private organization. Well, I guess it is because they get paid and stuff like that. And it doesn't seem to be state funded here. But like the holy people don't believe in this stuff, but one of them has called him in secret, and she's got to like figure it out. And basically, there's somebody in the actual like cathedral that stays there, has to be the monster. Turns out that it's not any of them. Big plot twist. It's one of it's pretending to be a corpse in like the graveyard they've got there. Crazy spoilers. And then there's that arc, and that's like the first prolonged sort of like 7 chapters ish probably. Which is a step up in quality. There are reoccurring characters like Claire's boyfriend, whose name, again, we do not know. He had a big friend. And I thought they were both dead because they both got impaled multiple times, but they survived.
Yeah, I can't believe they lived. I can't believe
Yeah, part of me was like, oh, they're going to be dead. That's crazy. A prolonged flashback with Claire and her like sort of idol character, Teresa, who was a Claymore before Claire. And it's basically, Claire in the first chapter saves this little boy. His name is Raki, apparently. He's like this crazy little boy. His mother and father just got eaten. It turns out the Yoma hidden in his town was his older brother and goes to kill him. But then Claire comes to save him and stuff like that. And he has nowhere to go, so he follows her. And like it's also like Fire Punch, of course, the great sun following around Agni, which is just a Berserk reference. I'm pretty sure. So maybe it was a Claymore reference the whole time. So he's also around in all this stuff. Who she like protects, and at certain points he comes into danger and she powers up extra hard to save him, but she also pretends she's trying to like get rid of him all the time. It's like this little, they can't admit their feelings until the big dramatic moment happens. Then we get a flashback with Claire and Teresa where we just follow this girl, Teresa. She's a Claymore. Just like Claire, she goes into town, she fucks up 7 Claymores, not Claymores, Yoma at once, and she walks away. She's super cool. She doesn't care about nothing. She's of the faint smile or something. She's melancholic and stuff. And then she like saves this little girl, and this little girl starts following her around like Raki was following Claire around. And then there's the big reveal, which is the image we got in the background here, that this is actually Claire's backstory, and Claire is that little girl. And the way I've described it, it seems like that would totally be obvious, but you sort of understand or presume to understand at the beginning that this is like a contemporary of Claire's that we're cutting to for a few chapters before they're like gonna either have to fight or they're gonna intertwine and gang up to versus a big monster or something. Crazy twist is what I'm trying to tell you. And then basically through this, I didn't have most of this written down, but I'm just recalling this off the top of my head. Teresa breaks the code where they're not supposed to kill humans, but Claire gets attacked. She leaves her in a town, then the town gets attacked by these evil berserk-like bandits who are there to kill everybody. Notably, no threats of rape, really. Oh, actually, there was. Never mind. Yeah. They wanted to rape Teresa because they understand that the Claymore code is... yes, the Claymore code is that you can't kill humans, and she's like really disattached, so she's like, whatever, you can do it. But also maybe she cared a little bit because she like takes her clothes off, and we don't see it, but there seems to be something hideous underneath her clothes, like the monster is like in her stomach or something, and you can see it. And so they all get turned off and leave. But anyway, those same evil rapist bandits attack the clown Claire got left in and kill everybody there, and Teresa shows back up, and it's a cathartic moment. She's gonna kill all these bandits, and she does, but she breaks the rules. So then a bunch of different Claymores get sent after her, and she fights them all off. And then there's this one girl that's supposed to be like the most potential girl. She shows up, and she goes like crazy and stuff, and she awakens, and she becomes this super creepy monster, and she kills Teresa. My goodness, she cuts her head off. It's the craziest panel of all time. It's the coolest panel of all time. And this is like Claire's goal, we learn here, where there's this crazy monster girl who awakened, where she has like angel or archangel wings and like a horn on her head, when usually they look like normal little girls. And there's some crazy mystery. Why is this happening, all this? And we learn that this is Claire's backstory and like why she wants to be a Claymore. She volunteers to become a Claymore. She's the first and only person ever to volunteer to become a Claymore, I'm pretty sure. Because all these girls were like kidnapped and forced to be Claymores, it seems. And then the final arc is Claire meets up with a group of girls, and they go to fight an awakened Yoma, which ends up being a male awakened Yoma when we thought only women could be former Claymore, so that's crazy. A bit of twist, and there's some intrigue there that we're going to learn more about in the future. And like they're all getting super fucked up, and eventually Claire like helps save the day, and it's revealed that Claire is like the weakest Claymore, even though she's been super strong the whole time. And it's like crazy. It's like if Guts was revealed to be the weakest guy at the end of the Black Swordsman arc, what's going on here? He's the strongest guy. What are you talking about? What, my power fantasy? And then basically it's kind of revealed that Claire actually is the best at sort of like sensing attacks, so she can dodge really well, and her and the other really strong girl in the group end up killing this male awakened. And there's also some intrigue of like the strongest girl is off on a cliff sensing it with like their boss or something. Yeah. And it's some crazy intrigue. So that's my little recap that was much expanded. I expected that to be 2 segments, briefly recapping.
Yeah, you said it would be quick.
But I got carried away. I was just remembering it as I was going. I was just flexing.
Claymore is just so good.
It was so good. Towards the end, some of that shit was crazy. But that's our recap. If you stop now, well, I guess you can watch the rest of the video, and you can go and read those first 30 chapters, be enthralled, and join us for the rest of the journey. My goodness. We don't know what part 2 is going to be. It's probably going to be roughly 5 volumes, but we'll see. Maybe there's a 20-chapter arc, and we just don't want to stop, and we'll cover all that before next time. Anyway, I'm acting like this is the end of the video. We're just beginning. Yeah. So I have a bunch of different notes here, Mia. Do you have anywhere you want to go specifically? Something you want to bring up now that we're in the deep thralls of anything goes Claymore discussion?
Let's see. I mean, we covered so much. There were a lot of points in the summary where I kind of want to jump on something, but I want to hold off. So let's just start with where your first note is, and then I think we can naturally get to everything.
So yes, I have a bunch of general notes here. Now I will warn you, the first one is Berserk. It's all the Berserk references because I wrote them down. Let's get through it, shall we? Obviously, we had the very Black Swordsman opening, followed by extended flashback sequence that explains larger motivations. True, we got our little Golden Age for a second. It wasn't nearly as long as the actual Golden Age. It wasn't fucking 10 volumes long. But we did sort of get Claire's little flashback and the explanation of her backstory and why she's the way she is. Stoic warrior being followed around and rejecting the follower. We talked about that. Casca reference more specifically. There is a girl that has short hair that looks very much like Casca. I don't know if she has brown skin in the anime. And then in the funniest moment ever, I literally have written down here, lol, the Casca one took it one in the shoulder and fell off the cliff to the river below, which is, of course, a famous scene where Casca gets impaled in the shoulder. This is... Casca falls off a cliff into the river below twice. Once when the great Adonis... no, it's Adon. Adonis is the little kid Guts kills. He didn't do anything wrong, though. Guts, we forgive him, okay? There's There's the first one where Casca's on her period in the middle of a war, and she's like, and she falls off the cliff when she's losing to this loser guy, and Guts catches her, and they dive in. And then later, when Guts and Casca have sex, my goodness, pretty epic. Casca and Guts, no, she doesn't get shot in the shoulder. Guts gets cut in the shoulder because he gets mad or something, and then Casca tries to kill herself by throwing her off the thing because she's exhausted and stuff, but Guts saves her again and they kiss. It's pretty cool. But anyway, the Casca one took one in the shoulder and fell off the cliff, and I thought that was very funny because that was a very direct reference. Now, it turned out she was okay, so that was pretty epic. I think they all survived that last battle, right?
Yes.
True. It's epic. But yeah, because she came up, I think she's the one that nearly transforms. I can't remember. The shadow shading is very Berserk-like. So are the leaves on the ground. These are two things I already talked about. And that is the end of my Berserk comparisons. Did you pick up on any of these Casca references while you were reading?
I feel like the comparison to Casca, like that one character, yes, she does have kind of similar, I don't know, the hair. But I don't know. I feel like that's a stretch. That's a stretch. I don't think that's a clear
She
Casca
fell into
reference.
the river. There was no reason for there to be a river there, and she fell in it. It was crazy. And especially because it seemed like she died, because it seemed like they all died there. So that was crazy.
Yeah, I think it was like to highlight the extent they can regenerate, because she loses like her arm, and into her shoulder, into her chest, and she regenerates it all. I feel like I mean I could see it potentially, but that wasn't.
I feel
one
like
that
the paneling is like a 1-to-1, but I don't want to waste the battery to bring it up. I feel like I feel like I know the Casca fall. It specifically the panel is the Casca, the sex Casca fall, not the period Casca fall. Very distinct falls. Right. But yeah, I think so. But we'll let the people make up their minds.
I do think it is absolutely Berserk inspired. So I mean, obviously, if it is as Berserk inspired as I feel like it is, then I'm sure Casca is a character that would be on the author's mind. These like very iconic scenes from Berserk would be on the author's mind. So I could see it. I don't think it's unlikely, I guess, but I don't think it's like a sure locked in like this is a Berserk reference. I feel like that's kind of pushing it.
And I'm saying don't listen to me here. It's 100%, 1,000,000% locked in correct. But I will. This is my vow of celibacy here today. I will not speak about Berserk no further. So
the other part, the beginning being very Black Swordsman, the kind of episodic, go from town to town, things happen, establishing the characters. That is, to me, that was like the weakest part of Berserk. That was the weakest part of Monster. These like the start where they're like going through these very kind of basic plots just to get it's just getting the basics out of the way, really. Like everything kind of goes as you expect it to. I think they don't really throw anything at you that's like really shocking or
they're sort of vehicles for like the monster fights.
I think so. Very like it just feels like it's kind of playing its cards close to its chest. It's not trying to blow you away immediately.
Yeah.
It's very safe, and I feel like Berserk starts that way with Guts and Puck, but I do think I like Puck more than most of these like lighthearted companion characters. I think he's a great character. He's definitely one of my favorites compared to because I didn't really care for Rocky here. I think I still don't really care for him. Maybe he'll have a moment. This is a girl manga. Get him out of here. That's the thing. I honestly feel like I like this trope a lot when it's like the stoic character adopts a daughter. I feel like that hits for me. When they adopt a son, it doesn't. Because they literally do the same thing with Teresa and Claire.
Everybody loves the Guts and Shirike moments more than the Guts and Sidro moments. Though I'm a big Sidro defender. But Sidro's best moments are with Shirike too. And Isma. But true. It is like I don't know. I kind of like I kind of like the novelty of it was a boy. I like that she's young. Because it does feel more mother than sister. But I don't know if I believe that. I do feel like I feel more sister, I guess.
But either way,
because he is like
adopted,
protective of her like a
Yeah.
sister, I guess.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of her, like, this is like her mothering side or something. Not in like the performative female sense of like protective like sense. I kind of like that aspect. Though I kind of don't like that aspect. I don't think I really like the execution of these moments where it's supposed to be like super heartfelt moments between the two of them. I think they are made stronger in retrospect by them being paralleled to the Claire Teresa moments, which are better, which I guess is exactly what we're talking about, where it's the little girl following around, and it's obviously better.
Did you get emotional?
I feel like a time skip could be interesting if Raggy like grows Raggy. That's like Scooby-Doo saying Shaggy. I think maybe if he grew up, it would be a little bit more interesting. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just sort of like this kid character. Like I do like Isidro a lot, like a lot more than most people do. But I think it's because Isidro is pretty funny a lot of the time.
Yeah, he's funny. It's just it feels very cookie cutter here.
Yes, right now, and it doesn't feel like there's too much draw to him. Rather than he's like gonna. My mum/sister, we haven't decided yet. Claire is going to beat you up, loser. And then he's like, I'm going to get stabbed. And then she comes in and saves him.
I think it's one thing to note that this is being written by a male author, right? So I almost feel like he is the perspective character of like this ignorant look into the world of the Claymore. That's the vibe I get from him. Like he's just kind of supposed to be there to establish the reader's like view of Claire, where I think you are expected to be a little infatuated with her, and you are expected to kind of be intrigued by the mystery of her and be drawn to her the same way he is.
I think that's why I like the dumb kiss so much, because it's like something you didn't expect her like. Guts would never have a moment like this. Obviously, he has romance stuff, but that like's very different and very like male coded, I guess. And very like romance coded, or it was like caught off guard. Like she didn't really react. But even that as a reaction, I was like intrigued by. I'm like, what would she look like? Does she have any sort of desire for this? Or where is this going type stuff? But this actually transitions into my second note here, which is about sort of girlhood/womanhood and the fact that this is a male author, which is I wrote down here, girl is more of an aesthetic than anything else, than anything about womanhood. Now, obviously, this is in direct contrast to Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which we very recently did, which was directed by a woman, written by a woman, starring nearly entirely woman, and was a lot about womanhood. I think this as a choice, like I don't think this is Claymore's inherently worse because of this. It's fine if a guy wants to write a story about women. It's just like it definitely feels that way, where it's like all the women are like pretty and like cool, and like stoic. It's not that they're generic, it's that they don't really interact with womanhood, and because they are all like warrior types, a lot of like I don't know, they feel like very much like anime characters than like real women, I guess, and like when they hang out together, it doesn't feel like female characters hanging out, it sort of just feels like a warrior princesses like hanging out or something, which is more of sort of like a male-driven trope, I guess. So it's not sort of like an authentic woman's perspective narrative. It does feel like, it's fucking sick, bro. Swords, it's even sicker. Cool girls. Let's put them together and make a manga. Even if this manga was literally like, what if Berserk was with women? Which I don't think it is, other than like sort of these trapping things. Even that to me, I'm like, sign me up. This sounds epic. Even if it's written by a dude, I'm like, all these little things would be interesting little difference, and I want to see all these little differences.
I didn't actually.
Women...
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I did not know that the author was a man. I thought it could be that the author was a woman, but I think it was the end of the Cathedral arc when we had like the kiss. I was like, okay, this is even if this isn't being celebrated, this is a male author. The 100%.
It's true.
I feel like you can really feel it there, and then once other Claymores start showing up, I think you could really feel it. I do think there is an attempt to say something about the nature of womanhood, where when you get to the male awakened creature, and they make the point of like, there's only women Claymores because only women are able to handle the draw of this power, and that men just keep they just give into the pleasure of the Yoma power that they feel. which
men are too like erratic and stuff, and women are more like centered. Which is kind of that kind of reminded me of the Vinland Saga sort of gender prescription.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking exactly this. It's trying to say something about women, but it feels like still like almost like a I don't want this almost feels mean. Look. This almost feels mean to the author, but it almost feels a little pandering to women. Like, oh, us men, we're so.
I didn't get that vibe.
Not in like too bad of a way. I don't know. It was kind of just
I felt more the opposite, where it was like men are like too passionate, and like, of course, if they get into unlimited power, they're gonna lose themselves in it. But women are like more, they're like calmer, and they're like generally like they don't want the wants that men want or something, and they don't like. I guess that would be like a benevolent sexist sort of thing. So maybe you are right. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry. It was some little sexisms. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think sexism. It was just kind of like it felt like. The author just kind of going
like a harsh word.
Us men, like what? Why should they all be women? If from the perspective of a man, I think if you're going to give like a kind of reason that is actually tied into the sexes, I feel like that is kind of what the male author would do. It would be like, women are so reserved, and they don't have like this same like. They don't give into the pleasure
lust
the way,
power.
The lust from the man. Exactly. I feel like that's totally where it's coming from.
He was a boy, damn it. I had a point about that, but then I got distracted because I looked at my notes. It definitely feels like fuck. I came up with this concept, and I want them all to be girls. Why are they not boys? Why are they not boys? Why are they not? I got it. Boys are just fucking dumb idiots. They're too passionate and stuff. And there is a boy, and they didn't work, and they tried to do boys, but it's like, it's kind of a clever workaround. I like it. It makes sense.
It feels critical from the male perspective rather than the female perspective, which so critical, which is good. Definitely good, but it doesn't feel like it's really, and maybe it'll go harder on this. The fact that they're even establishing
we'll get more details.
Because it could have just been like, that they didn't even try with men, that it only works with women, but the author went out of his way to establish that it can work on men, but they just can't really handle it the same way, which I think is more interesting than a very strict biological restriction. Because, like, what if there is a man that leans more towards, like, that doesn't really fall into this mindset and the draw of the pleasure like that. And I'd be very interested to see if the author does try to approach that angle, or if this is going to be like, all men are this way, so then it doesn't work.
Yeah. I don't know. We could definitely see more like awakened, like evil men one. Would we see an actual like successful one? I don't know, maybe. It seems like the boss guy or whatever is probably some sort of an experiment with Yoma, and he seems to be a guy, I think. And he seems to have his faculties a little bit, but his face is all fucked up, so maybe there's stuff there. But we can save that for the predictions part. I wrote down a few things about the stuff you said. The kiss absolutely felt like male author stuff.
Yep.
Because I feel like if it was a female author, she would have had a bit more of a reaction. I feel like the fantasy for guys... Oh no, I'm going to bring up Berserk again. I remember when I was like 16 reading Berserk for the first time, the fact that Casca was ever in a dress, I was like, that's not cool, bro. Casca wouldn't be in a dress or whatever. And Casca even makes that comment, but then like when Guts compliments her on like that she looks good or something in the dress, she like clearly like loves the compliment and is like actually does like to dress up, and that's like it's like she's multifaceted. And I remember when I was initially reading that as this, it's like in that era where I'm like, girl stuff is dumb. Any girl that likes makeup is dumb. Casca is a cool girl. She wouldn't like makeup or something like that. So it's sort of like that is like a nuanced view of a woman where she can be a warrior and a princess or whatever the fuck and like to dress up and like to stab people. It feels like a more one note of like, all right, so we're gonna make the girl stoic, but we can't really. It's like you don't understand how to authentically portray a woman in like in different scenarios, or in like this romantic scenario of how would a woman that's generally stoic react to a romantic scenario? Like, I don't fucking know. And I feel like it was a clear indication of that. I liked it in spite of that a little bit. But I feel like if like it was written by a woman, like there would be more depth to the response there, or that would be thought about more, or something like that.
Yeah.
That definitely stood out to me. Another thing about another interesting thing about the womanhood stuff is there really isn't a lot of fan service, right? I know there's multiple like naked bathing scenes, but they're not. Like a manga I also read relatively recently, even though I've only like seen 20 chapters of it or whatever, is Zombie 100, which is obviously a big comedy manga. It's also more modern than, which usually makes it more sexy. But like in the bath scenes there's the German girl with the giant boobs, and she's everywhere, and it's terrific, Mia. But it's very different to how like this is portrayed, where it's like somber sort of like bathing scene. Even if you want to bring Berserk into the comparison, all the Berserk bathing scenes are like very sexualized. Even when Casca's not in her right mind, so you can think about the ethics of that a little bit. Even when Shirake is fucking what is she, 11? Anyway, naughty Berserk, getting it wrong. But I thought the lack of fan service was very interesting, especially because it is like you'd think, oh, they're all women. This is a great opportunity. They're all gonna get naked, of course. But they really don't. So I think that's kind of interesting. Unless I'm forgetting something. Was there any big fan service parts I'm forgetting?
No, I think there was you were right that there were a couple times where we had like nudity scenes, but it did feel tasteful. It felt like
did we ever see nipples? I don't remember.
Yeah, there was one part. There was
oh my goodness.
I forget if it was a Teresa or Claire scene. I think it was a Claire scene, just thinking in her head about something. I think it was when she got shown up by the other.
Yes, when she's sparring, I think, and she's like
sparring,
thinking in the rain or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that was one. Yes. Okay. I also don't think the girls are like made to be like extremely pretty or anything like that. They all like, and I guess I mean this in a nice way. They all look kind of weird a little bit, right? Like facially.
I think they're meant to look a little alien.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. Have we seen any female characters that aren't Yoma, like Claymores?
Just like background characters, I think.
Like, are they different? I can't remember. I don't remember them in enough detail.
I do think there's intent in making the female characters, well, I guess the Claymores in general, feel very almost ethereal, but it kind of, I think, maybe bleeds into the general way women are drawn in the manga. But like, there's certainly, not that I can remember at least, I don't think there have been like, I don't think there's been a female character that doesn't look like a Claymore. Yeah, exactly. Which again, that's another point towards like, you know, this is like perspective of the male author. It feels like we are very focused on women who look like Claymores, even if they're not Claymores. This is what women look like, and you're supposed to feel that kind of either way, the draw and mysticism of it. But I mean, there hasn't been a prominent non-Claymore character that wasn't Claire beforehand, you know?
Well, I guess there's only one prominent non-Claymore character at all, right? And it's Raki.
Fair.
Well, I guess like the two guards and maybe some of the priests. But this will expand, I'm sure. Well, I guess also the other old guy that's following her around. I view it as an interesting choice. Like, you could just make them all like extremely beautiful, like anime waifu girls, if you're gonna make the whole manga about girls. So it is an interesting choice.
I could also see that this just kind of is the author's style, you know. So it
could be really like his fetish or something.
This is just what he thinks hot women look like. You know, it's certainly possible. Do you have any?
I guess.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I guess beauty is in the eye of the beholder. My goodness, how deep. Also, just briefly, I wanted to mention Vinland Saga. We did our Berserk comparisons. I did see some like things that reminded me of Vinland Saga. You know, there's like 2 instances of the same thing. I wonder if you know exactly what I'm talking about or not.
No, I don't think I do.
It's both of the panels of all the bodies stricken about, which is very Vinland Saga Chapter 1.
I can see that.
Where in the alley is just filled with bodies after Askeladd's band has been through there. And it's first when... what's the name of the girl Priscilla. That's her name.
You've done this story, yes.
Yeah, when she's first introduced, like she's fallen over, and you're like, "Who's this klutz?" And it's like, "Oh, she fell over because she just collapsed after killing 50,000 bad guys, and their bodies are all stricken about everywhere." It's really cool. One of the best art moments, I think. And then there's a similar moment after Teresa has butchered all the bandits and their bodies all around, which also felt very Vinland Saga in that sense. So those were the two Vinland Saga moments that it reminded me of, but. That's cute. It's very interesting. I feel like that must happen more than just chapter 1. I just remember it a lot, or more specifically from Vinland Saga chapter 1.
I think of closer to the end of Vinland when you have like all the bodies in the fort after the Jomsvikings come back.
Yeah. I feel like you're talking about on Vinland itself. I was thinking there has to be one in the Baltic Sea War arc. Like,
I'm sure there are many.
Yeah,
but in terms of like that kind of shock at the. Well, Vinland does it a lot, actually. Just kind of looking back over the destruction of a battle that you either saw or didn't see. Yeah.
Vinland says violence is bad, if you didn't know.
What?
My goodness.
No way.
I'm shocked.
I don't think that's the author's intent. I've seen people say that, by the way, on the great Reddit. I think the author is trying to show that, like, total pacifism isn't good either. What are we talking about? Sorry. Sorry.
No, I'm allowed to do my 15 Berserk tangents.
True.
You're allowed to do one Vinland Saga one on your Vinland Saga channel.
True.
Though we're changing it. It's now a great Claymore channel. On my note here, which is the same girl note, what else did I write? I said, there's not really any commentary on womanhood, I don't think. Probably natural since the author is male. What insight? There are really only women in the way others around them treat. They really are only women in the way others around them treat them, like the one knight that kisses Claire. I guess that's true.
Yeah, it feels like womanhood kind of is the beauty. Like, beauty is what kind of defines these characters. And, there's not much beyond it so far in terms of, like, I don't know, motivation and how the world views them. Like, they certainly... Yes. There has not been any hint of women being viewed any way besides kind of lust and infatuation.
Yeah, because we don't really get too much... Because it seems like it's vaguely medieval, though it could be, like, a little bit after that, like Black Sails period or something. I don't know. I guess we haven't seen any guns yet. But the cathedral place seemed... Oh, well, I guess it didn't really seem like... I was going to say relatively modern, but I mean modern as in, like, the 17th century rather than, like, the 8th century or something. So, yeah, like, ideas or biases against women really haven't shown up. Like, it's not like... This woman is walking around in armor. Can you believe this? It's all like the silver-eyed devil or whatever they call them, because it's like Claymore stuff, which is fine. Not every story has to comment on the plight of women in medieval society. I'm sure it's almost a refreshing take for us to not have like the gender politics. Stop making Claymore political, Mia. It's not about gender.
My fault.
It's about swords. Oh my god. I was just reminded of all the discourse on Twitter at the moment about whether or not anime is inherently political. How fucking stupid everybody is. Anyway, let's not go into that. So that was the end of that note. So do you have anything else on womanhood in Claymore?
I would be very interested to see the author introduce a non-Claymore female character, just to see like what does that even look like for this world. I wouldn't be surprised if we go the whole time and that never happens.
Maybe.
But
I don't know. Raki might get a girlfriend, but it might be a junior Claymore in training, or it might be Claire, as we speculated earlier. Nah, I don't think he's probably going to get a girlfriend.
I do kind of have a point that definitely diverges from that, but just kind of on the idea of Claymores and Yoma in general. Kind of thinking of Berserk, because when I think of Berserk, I think there's a lot of different mystical kind of things going on. Yeah. And so far, it kind of feels like Yoma and Claymore are kind of it, right? It's just two sides of the same coin, and there isn't kind of a larger magic to it, or like a larger like fantasy I wouldn't say system, because I don't think Berserk really has like a magic system. It just has magic, and that can manifest
it's got that
in
really
many
complicated
ways.
one they bring up for like one volume.
I don't even remember that.
Where it's like the fire magic is actually little salamanders on this little blade, and they make it fire or something.
Yes.
And what the fuck is his name? The blonde guy that I don't like. That's Farnice's brother. Oh my god, Serpico, right?
Yeah,
That's his
Serpico.
name.
Yes.
He flies with his cape because there's little fairies that fly or something. But Berserk has the excuse of like the world is slowly becoming more like there's the 3 worlds or whatever, and they're slowly merging, and that's why magic wasn't there at the beginning, but it is now. But it is true. Nobody's like blowing fireballs or anything. It's just monsters and swords.
So, do you think it might go in that direction where there's kind of more added to the world, and the world kind of expands in terms of like what is expected when it comes to magic, or do you think it'll kind of stay in this Yoma Claymore dichotomy?
It's interesting because how the Yoma or the basic Yoma, and I think even the strong one at the end, how it fights is like its fingers like become like projectile weapons. Well, not projectiles, but they like splinter off and stuff. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is why Claymore isn't more popular, because this is not that cool. It's not like the 3D maneuvering gear or like hand signs from Naruto or like every power in One Piece or whatever. Like, it's like not that cool. You couldn't really make toys of it. Like, you can't really pretend to do it with your friends when you're like 12 watching Claymore or something. I was like, this is kind of like, it's a fleshed out power in the way it's used, and it's already been iterated upon, so it's interesting, but it doesn't have that base level cool factor. So that would lead me to believe, well, maybe we want to iterate on it a little bit more. But we do have these awakened beings now that are already doing weird stuff with it, and we've just introduced regeneration that can expand fights and stuff like that. Now, remind me, this last guy, why am I thinking he had lightning powers? He didn't. It was just like he was just expanding his fingers, right? And they were like,
the strikes were just so fast and rapid that it was almost like striking down from above.
Right now I really don't see like any sort of other magic system being introduced. I don't know. At some point, maybe the Claymore like company has a rival company, and they use magic from the old world or something, and they show up and they something like that. I don't know.
I could see maybe an expansion on the kind of, maybe there will be a kind of origin point for this this, I guess, I don't know, the power, like what is even happening here, because if it doesn't seem like, you know, magic beings are a thing that is expected in this world. It feels like the Yoma are kind of like
it seems like the Yoma kind of appeared or something.
But it also seems to be implied that Yoma, well, no, I guess Claymores were created to combat Yoma, so Yoma were a problem first.
Yeah.
But I could also see it being that Yoma are also a creation of humanity, like that in trying to make Claymores, maybe Yoma were created. It could go either way.
Yeah, I feel like it could be like this organization created the problem and they also created the solution, and they're profiting off it or something.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think we're definitely going to I think we're definitely going to get an explanation. No, I feel like this organization is definitely very evil, and they will be the final boss.
There's something,
I think. So I think we're definitely going to get an explanation where the Yoma come from. I don't think they're just going to be like a natural creature that always existed or something. I think. Fuck! I forgot my other point. What did you just say? Like about, Yoma, they come out of nowhere. We're merging them to fight them. Human civilization has developed. So, like, I guess it's like there's kind of that thing in Chainsaw Man where they, like, Quan Chi is, like, the first devil hunter, and she's probably, like, 90 years old or something. So it's like, what was happening before that? It's kind of like a mystery, but I don't think Chainsaw Man has any intention of like resolving that. I feel like the opposite is here, where it's a more Attack on Titan situation where we will resolve this.
Like this is the one thing that is happening. Like, I don't know, Titans kind of are they starting from the point of Titan, it kind of expands backwards. and you're kind of like, whoa, like what? It came from this point, and it's weird, but it either way kind of all folds into Titans as one idea. I kind of feels like this is similar in that way, where there's not a larger magical world. It all kind of folds into Yoma, so maybe it could be larger in that it comes from something else, and we'll learn more about that. But I don't see it kind of expanding away from Yoma and Claymores as an extension of Yoma.
With Attack on Titan, I feel like initially you very much get the vibe that this is a mystery show and like these things will be explained and you're supposed to speculate about it. I feel like the mystery part of this is like a much smaller aspect of this.
Agreed.
Which we definitely are still going to get answers. I just don't know if the answers will be too important, and I don't think they'll probably be the things we're like excited about going into the last few volumes of finding out. I feel like it'll probably all be explained by them, and we'll be fighting a bad guy. Presumably Priscilla, though. Even then, there's like she doesn't kill Claire, and it's like, maybe she's not like this bad evil guy, and we're gonna do the thing where we meet her, and then like Claire beats her up or something, and she like reveals something, and then she's not the bad guy anymore. And it's like, the organization is the bad guy, and being awakened is good or something.
The implication was that it was because Claire was just kind of just nothing. Claire was just nothing.
That is like the explanation Claire thinks.
Yes.
I feel like it's definitely like she doesn't hate Claire at all. Like, yeah, because there is the implication, like she does eat like one of the other bodies or something, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. But even then it could be like, she's like has to eat the Yoma part for sustenance or something. I feel like that could be explained without her just being like crazy evil.
It would be interesting. I definitely... That could be interesting, because other Yoma go after people just fine. You know, why would this one suddenly like not care?
Yeah, I think being awakened is you're not going to be like eating people. I don't think, like general people.
Yeah. Because she says it's like a hunger. She just suddenly has this hunger for flesh, and that's kind of it. Like there doesn't seem to be any kind of thinking about it going on. Like she's not like driven like to...
She also did trick Teresa to beat her, right? So it's like that's like a bad thing too.
Fair.
I guess we should comment on that really quickly. That was crazy, bro. Didn't see that coming. Well, I guess once it was a flashback, you sort of understand that she's going to die. And then you're like, oh my God, she's surrendering herself. And then it's that great double page spread we alluded to earlier, where the first one is like the cool thing where they pass each other and it's like, oh, she just got cut up. And then turn the page, it's a double spread. And no, she cut them up. And it was like, this is the greatest moment in manga history. That was so great. That's probably the best moment in the manga so far. That was like, what a great subversion, especially because I assume maybe you read it page by page, but I do the long strip, so I'm scrolling and I like scrolled down. I was like, whoa.
I was scrolling down at that point too. So yeah. That's actually you bring up that it was a subversion. When do you feel like the story started actually subverting expectations rather than I don't know, feeling formulaic? Because it felt formulaic.
That was
for me
that
for a while.
moment.
Really,
definitely. I don't know. The Claire reveal moment is sort of more catching you off guard. I don't know if that's necessarily a subversion.
Yeah, I don't think it was a subversion either, because it makes sense. Like, of course, that's going to happen. It was like,
I think when
go ahead.
I think when Priscilla shows up at like the first time, you're like, oh, she is gonna beat her, but she doesn't. And then like her losing again, and like as she was transforming, I didn't think that Teresa was going to die there. So I guess her death in and of itself was a twist, even though it has to happen because she's not in the story right now. I thought, oh, Priscilla's not going to be the one to do it. She's like losing herself here. But then obviously she awakens, and that's like a bigger setup. I guess those two moments, I don't think it's too subversive of a manga. Like, even that last arc, I don't think it was subversive. I think it was just, like, cool plot developments and fighting and stuff.
I think I'd agree with that. I think when I was reading the Cathedral arc, and obviously, the story's kind of pushing you to suspect the main priest guy, I think.
Yeah.
I think, and I remember I was thinking like, okay, if this guy ends up being the Yoma, I'm going to be pretty disappointed here.
Yeah.
So I did, in a way then, I didn't expect him to be, because I expected better, and I'm glad I got better. Because I do think, because they introduced the mummies pretty early on into the arc, so it was kind of a cool way to tie back to that. And I didn't expect it at all. So I was pretty happy with that, but I don't feel like it was like defying expectations as much as it was like, okay, we're not going to be boring, pretty much.
Yeah.
But then I think it really locks in with the Teresa arc. Yeah.
I thought part of me was like kind of disappointed that it was just like hiding with the corpses. I was like, oh, well, I was like excited to figure out which one it was if it wasn't this one. But then it was actually, I think honestly, at some point I was like, maybe it's one of the guards or something.
With how
it didn't really matter.
I think that arc just didn't really, it didn't take the time to really establish any of these characters. So I think if it was anybody within the church, it would have been like, okay. Like, I don't know. It would not have really felt effective. Like, they kind of prop up, like, who was it? Like, the Archbishop, like, the really old guy. That was kind of like, oh, it could be the most senior guy. And then it's not. And then you're like, okay, well, I guess, is it really just going to be the dude who called them? But then, I feel like...
Because it was already the dude that called them in, like, in chapter 3. Like, she cuts the dude's head off. So I didn't think they were going to do that again.
Good point. Yeah, exactly. It would have felt like... It would not have felt very interesting for any of the like actual characters to be the Yoma, because again, the main priest guy was like, that would be kind of retreading, and that was kind of obvious. And then every other character was just so uninteresting because there wasn't any effort put into I don't know, making you expect anything of them, that if they were the Yoma, you'd be like, okay. So I do think that making one of the dead bodies the Yoma was probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. I did like in that arc just like the fighting on the roof and stuff. That was cute. That was good. Actually, I want to bring up power scaling after this. I have a whole dot point on it. But you know what was super dumb is that I didn't even like. It was like a surprise to me when the sword was in the statue. I was like, why are they carrying this statue
surprising
around?
to me.
And it's so obvious in retrospect, because you're like, oh, her sword's not here. Like, oh, I guess, because I even had this thing. I'm like, I wonder where she hit her sword. Like, she probably hit it like under a tree or something. But like, what if somebody just came and got the sword? Then that wouldn't be very good. She'd like lose her sword. I've actually thought about this because I'm like, what if you like secretly leave money for your buddy or something? Because I don't know, you're doing something crazy or illegal or something, and you're like, it's in the bushes behind this thing. But then it's like, you'd be so worried that like just some guy would stumble into the bush and like, oh, there's like the envelope of money down there. I don't know why that's like a thought or a fear I've like had when I've like daydreamed out or something. So I was thinking about it with like this sword. I was like, man, I really hope it's still in that tree where obviously it's in the dumb fucking giant statue they're carrying around for no reason that has no explanation. But I didn't see it coming at all. That's
so interesting, because I didn't even think about the fact that she didn't have her sword. Because I feel like, obviously it's called Claymore. They're called Claymores. They carry the Claymores. The Claymore's kind of important. But I didn't get the sense that like, I didn't get the sense that having the Claymore would make a significant difference in her ability to fight. Like, she had little knives. I was like, oh yeah, that's probably enough. Yeah. Like, it didn't really occur to me that the sword is actually, well, the Claymore is actually a very important part of their ability to stand up to a Yoma. So
yeah, it's just a big sword they can cut him in half with, I guess.
Yeah, so the big reveal that, which I think you're right, it should have been obvious in hindsight, but the big reveal that the sword was inside the statue was kind of like that makes sense. I guess I just didn't realize how important the Claymore itself is.
Yeah, the coffin. Wheezing. What a great Pokemon reference. Don't let me do tangents, Mia. What the fuck was I going to say? It was about the sword or something.
The sword and the fact that the Claymore is an important part of. Like, she's not able to stand up to it until then. Yeah.
Yes. It was not about that at all. I was gonna say, I did like her outfit, and she was fighting with the knives and on the roofs and stuff.
That was cool. That was cool. She looked like that all the time. Because I don't
Yeah,
really
it's
like
like
the
a cool
Claymore
little
armor.
sleek outfit rather than the armor. I don't know. It was crazy. But true. Okay, power scaling I hinted at a little bit.
Right.
The manga does a lot of like internal power scaling that I didn't expect. And I guess this goes into a general point about how like this manga is like about fighting, which I should hate. I hate fights. Fights suck. But I like them. I liked every one of them. I thought they were cool and interesting.
They're just
Like the
quick.
fight with the fight with the big guy at the end, I think, was probably the standout one. Oh, and Teresa fighting all the girls, and then I thought all that stuff was really good. So yeah, I like the fighting, which is odd, which is usually something I don't like. But the power scaling, so obviously they've literally got the rankings for the Claymores, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's
Even
such a
in
shonen approach. I feel like that's such a
Yes.
shonen battle manga kind of thing. Yeah.
I like it though. I think
liked
it's cool.
it. I thought it was a cool way to set up
I love a
expectations for the
ranking.
other characters. Yeah.
It's like hard versus soft ranking, where there's like the superhero rankings and My Hero Academia or whatever. That's pretty hard ranking. This is a pretty hard ranking, though they've sort of fucked it up because Claire is actually pretty strong. She just can't beat up other Claymore. And then there's like soft ranking, like Naruto obviously has soft ranking, where it's like there are different ranks, but like Naruto is still like the lowest rank at the end of the series when he is literally the strongest being to ever exist in the universe. That's just like a technicality because he never took the test or something. I don't know. I guess One Piece is another soft ranking because they have like the bounties, but they're not representative of strength necessarily. I don't know. I guess Attack on Titan towards the beginning did have that character ranking that is kind of important, where it's like Mikasa is the strongest, then the Titan shifters, then Eren, though he's a Titan shifter too, and then John is number 6, and he's like the second strongest actual human guy. Yeah. And actually, Mikasa is also a cheating Titan something. So John's the strongest one, and then Marco, and then hold on, I can do them all. Historia is 10 because Ymir cheated to get her in. And then Connie and Sasha. And was Connie ahead of Sasha? No, that's crazy talk. Sasha then Connie, I reckon. I'm not going to look it up to clarify, but that's the top 10. Armin wasn't in it. He was a weak little boy. Anyway, crazy. So that's a YouTube video. Soft versus hard internal power ranking systems, power scaling systems. I'm a genius. Write it down.
So, but in terms of, do you have any other thing you wanted to say about
yes,
power scaling specifically? Okay.
Because they were doing it even in the cathedral arc, because these like guys show up, the Knights dude, her boyfriend and his friend, her boyfriend and his boyfriend, crazy. And it's like, oh, can they, like, how do they fight compared to her? And then it's like, could they beat up a Yoma? Like, if these two double teamed a Yoma, could they beat it and stuff like that? Could they do anything to it? And in the end, they actually really can't do anything to it. Like, I think at one point they cut off like one of the strands of its finger or something, but they are just getting fucked up. And it's like, on power scaling, like, normal humans cannot fight these guys. Really, only Claymores can fight these guys. And this is before the ranking. Now, again, the implication of the fact that human society exists at all, and presuming that what we know about Yoma is true and that they just like to eat people, which does seem to be true. Some of these guys are crazy and just eating people and shit. Like the fact that they need to disguise themselves would imply that, like, if you got a standing army, you could probably fuck up like if you got an army of 10,000 men, they can probably beat 100 Yoma, I think, if they charged at each other.
Yeah.
But like 10 guys probably couldn't beat one Yoma, or maybe 10 guys could. Well, do
like the mummy Yoma in the cathedral does run away when the rest of the army shows up at one point.
Yes,
so that does imply
they specify that that's a stronger one, and that's another thing. They do Yoma rankings where it's like this chapter one is a weak one, and then there's one that's got wings, and then there's a group, and if they're in a group, they're probably weaker, and then there's a super strong one, and then there's the mummy one that's like exceptionally strong, and then obviously there's actual like former Claymore human ones that are much, much, much stronger than that. Yeah. So they got rankings for everybody here. And then even Teresa was like the strongest human one ever. And now there's a new number one, right? But we haven't met her. Oh, she is the one at the end, right? Is that girl number one the one that's sensing them?
I think so. I don't think it's explicitly said. I might be misremembering. Because I thought of her as just like, oh, this is one that has just a very good sensing ability, skill, but she may not be a fighter. That was kind of the sense I got from it, but I might be off.
They also did the like cool stare down of like, maybe I'll see her again someday.
Yeah,
puts sword away, turns around and walks. But But yeah, even then, when like the new number one shows up, it's going to be like, oh, she can beat up Teresa. Teresa's way stronger than this girl. But inevitably, the new number one is going to be Teresa, I think, just because that'll like, oh my God, she's even stronger than Teresa. That's crazy. And stuff like that. So we've got internal rankings with both groups and then compared to normal humans. So I think the series is very like consistent if that was something you would care about. I don't care about it too much, but it is interesting that it takes the time to, it's like something that the series itself is interested in. But then it sort of does throw it on its head, I guess, if we're talking about subversion at the end, where it's like, well, Claire is like the weakest one, but actually against this monster, she easily comes out the best. Did the number 4, the current number 4, end up dying in the last arc? I can't remember.
I don't think anybody died in the last one.
Yeah. That also makes Teresa's death a little bit more like, because I think she is the only like character that died besides the friend, I guess. Well, I guess all the other girls died there, but she's like the main one. Like none of the girls. Casca didn't die after she fell into that river. She came back. And it's also interesting because we are expanding. It is that like this. What are we? 6 volumes in, so it's like out of 27. I don't know. Do the math or something. We're like a fifth of the way there. Well, that's kind of crazy now that I said that out loud. But like, we've now got like, how many girls are there? There's like 3 or 4 new characters that we'll probably see again at some point to expand the cast. So we are building and stuff here. So interesting things afoot. But power scaling was interesting. I don't know if you have anything to say about the power scaling.
I do actually. And it's on the Knights in the Cathedral because I was actually surprised at how much, like when they were fighting with Claire, how much they were able to hold their own. Because the story is clearly trying to make a thing like, oh, you don't have to do it all by yourself. You can rely on other people, blah, blah, blah. But I really thought like they would just get like immediately destroyed. I thought that's what happened when like all the fingers like pierced through them. I was like, okay, that's it. Like I thought this was to show how little they would be able to do. And I guess in a way it kind of does, but they were also very integral.
They kind of served as distractions. Which helped.
Yeah, but like, he was the bigger guy was able to hold the finger tendrils down, and the throwing daggers from the other guy was enough to like actually make any kind of like impact. Like it wasn't just shrugged off. So I do feel like they stood their own more than I thought they would. And that combined with the Yoma running away when a bunch of people showed up, I do get the sense, and of course the fact that they hide too, and they're not just, it's not just like all the Yoma band together and eat everyone. I guess maybe they want to let people continue to procreate too, so they're not just gonna wipe out the human population because they're hungry. Maybe there's like a intent to let human society continue to thrive, so then there's more people to eat. But
there also could just be like not that many of them.
There might, but there was that whole village of Yoma that kept like they go to the other villages and then come back.
But even then, there's a whole village. Let's say there's like 10,000 Yoma. That's still, I assume, even in this world, there's like a couple. I was going to say a couple million, but that's not a lot at all. So, but a couple billion seemed too much. I know there's like 500 million people or something. But I don't know. They also do make mention of like a continent at some point, right?
Maybe. I don't remember.
So I don't know if we're going to get a world map or if this is segmented to a certain part of the world or something. If the prediction about them being from this organization is true in any regard, it would probably just be wherever they are. I don't know. Maybe different continents have different monsters or something, and we'll travel there. Or I don't know. But yeah, power scaling and stuff. I guess, did I say anything interesting in these notes? Claire seems so powerful, indestructible even. And then the flashback transfers that feeling onto Teresa and then kills it by killing her. When we cut back and Claire is told she's nothing, we believe it. She is not the hero of her day, not yet. Oh yeah, that's a line that the guy that's following her around has. Is like, oh, too bad you suck. But in the end, she's got special, unique powers all of her own. And we love Claire, so we'll support her the whole way.
We do.
But power scaling, am I right?
So I have another question. Unless you have another note you wanted to go to.
No, go
Okay.
ahead.
Um, was there any point in this stretch of chapters where you got emotional, or do you feel like it was just kind of like still setting yourself up,
Um,
cool moments?
not not emotional in like a sad sense, but definitely like the double page spread when Teresa didn't die and she cut those girls. That was a fist bump. Like, this is fucking
Yeah, yeah.
sick. So that was definitely emotional. There were moments of shock and surprise, I would say, like even like the Priscilla body parts thing. I don't know if it was too shocking, but it was like that's another like that was cool. And there's little art moments like that now, which I think is a very like vital strength of Berserk is like the eclipse imagery stuff, and even later like Casca's memories framed as like bubbles and stuff like that, like these weird creative decisions, Casca's dreamscape and all this stuff. Remember when I said I wasn't going to talk about Berserk anymore? It's like in Vinland Saga, when for that like period at the beginning of the Vinland arc, we like there was like one page every chapter that was some sort of abstract visual metaphor, and it was always the coolest page of the whole chapter. I remember the one of the scales, and there was a war happening on the scales, and they were holding it down or something. That was sick. And so sort of the moments where they are framed in the bodies, it's not surreal or abstract in that sense, but it feels like we now have like a visual language we're building. So I'm excited to see if that'll happen more. How did I get to that? We were talking about things that make you emotional. I guess abstract imagery would make me emotional. I like that stuff. I think I was vaguely scared for all the, and I think it sort of plays into this for the other girls in the last arc. Like when they were getting fucked up, I was like, that's kind of sucks. Oh, and earlier I said something silly. I said there's not really a lot of threatened rape in this. A lot of the imagery fighting that final guy, there was like pretty harsh penetration imagery,
Yes,
especially
yeah.
when the one girl's
Girl's
stomach gets
Yes,
impaled
that was
and
crazy. That
like
was
she's
very alien.
screaming, and yes, it was very I don't know, it felt rapey, especially because this is like the one male guy and he's like overpowering all these girls, and it's like, oh, it's very uncomfy.
Yeah, and lots
So
of
yeah, and he
tendrils besides fingers. Like,
yes.
yes, very,
Um,
very. That is very Berserk too. Berserk does a lot of
yeah.
phallic imagery.
Because he has a panel, and this was another kind of Berserk reference, I guess. There's like the big panel in the eclipse when all the demons like are given the okay to go down and eat the band of the hawk, where it's like the caption is like true despair or something, and it's just like all the demons like having a crazy erratic movement panel as they all move towards him. It's a big double page spread. It's really cool and stuff. It's not cool. It's sad and terrifying. But the male Claymore, the Yoma awakened guy, he has a panel like that where he like is hulking up and he says like you'll know the meaning of true despair or something. It's a double page spread. That was really cool, and it's like, oh, this guy's fucking scary. We got to take this guy out. Are they even gonna take her out? Is Clay gonna have to run away? What the fuck's going on here? But yeah, and then when they eventually won, I think all of that stuff was pretty emotionally satisfying. There was emotional investment there. So yeah, I don't know. How about what about you? What were you thinking?
There was a point where I cried. I didn't like. It wasn't
Oh
like
my goodness!
sobbing, but I did. I did cry.
Hold on. Let me think. Um, I feel like it has to be a Claire Teresa hug moment or something. What was it?
It was.
I'm a genius.
I can't remember if I got more emotional at Teresa's death when Claire like picks up her head. No, it was definitely the it was the moment where we had. I was more shocked at the way Teresa goes out because it is so quick.
Yes,
The sudden
it is a crazy turn.
decapitation
Yes.
is crazy. But it was more when Claire first talks, and it's Claire had been trying to comfort her the whole time rather than seeking comfort from Teresa. I thought that was like a really good moment, and Teresa crying for like the only time we see like a Claymore cry, that was really good. I think that was the one really emotional moment, and I'm kind of hopeful for more of that in the future.
Even though she's fucking dead.
Yeah, well, more emotion in general, because I actually quite like how this author draws crying. I think the crying expressions are done really, really well. I think that like first panel of Claire crying was pretty good. I like the expression, and I feel like it really kind of sells the crying on me quite well.
Remember when she beat the shit out of Claire? I just remembered that.
That was crazy.
This is, it is true. I remember famous when we were meeting here for the first time. I made fun of Thorfinn crying in that shitty anime. And usually I make fun of people for crying, but never in manga. So I guess this isn't too big of a thing. But the crying didn't bother me at all. I wasn't like dumb crying, but that's probably because it was girls. That's a little bit of my benevolent sexism coming out. I don't want this. It is funny because there is the hugging panel too, where she's like, "Oh, I have something to live for." Teresa, that is, and I was like,
yeah.
It is funny how much this works versus like if this happened with Raki or whatever, it would like probably not work.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what it is
and
about
you're
a
like
daughter
much more invested in this relationship. Yeah.
I think it's because
it is interesting.
Daughters are less annoying.
True. No male children. Get rid of them.
I wasn't like annoyed by Raki, but it's like I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he's fine. He's inoffensive. He's just not too interesting. Yeah.
But like if he got like overzealous and like started poking his head where he shouldn't in terms of like getting aggressive against someone, and he actually just kind of like died for it, I'd probably be like, Raki, you idiot, like what are you doing? But like if poor little Claire got got hurt, I'd be like, no, she doesn't deserve this. I don't know. Maybe I'll like him more. Maybe I'll like him.
Moving forward, it'll be interesting. Like they kind of have to be the emotional core, right? Because I have no idea. I think I looked at like the first 2 or 3 pages of the next chapter. I don't remember them too much. I think it was just Claire fighting like a bunch of Yoma again.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask next. What is the draw going forward? What do you feel like? What is? Because I'm just getting more of this is fine. But what are your hopes for going forward?
I don't know, because the point I was getting to is like it kind of has to be Raki and Claire as like the emotional core. They are like the 2 main characters, and like, well, that scares me a little bit. I don't know if I'm too invested in that. Obviously, it could change. Even again, another monster comparison. I feel like I liked Dieter or whatever that little kid's name was much more than I like Raki at the moment, and he was just a cute kid kicking around his soccer ball or whatever. Raki's got space though. He needs to do more funny things maybe, and then I'll like him more. Other than that, like obviously we're gonna have encounters with this organization. I think that is the drawing point moving forward. I truly don't know what the arc structure will be. Like we'll probably find another crazy bad guy and fight him. Like I don't know if we can scale this much more. Like Claire probably couldn't have beaten that one guy on her own.
Probably not.
So if we find another one that's like another awakened guy, like, well, there probably is going to be a moment where she has to beat one by herself before she like fights Priscilla or whatever. I don't think that'll be like immediately. I really don't know. Yeah. I'm just curious. I like the writing. I like Claire. I'll follow her around, I guess. But yeah, I guess I do have a whole predictions thing, but we should probably save that for the end a little bit.
Oh, okay, sure. I feel like I'm not really drawn forward by anything, but just the fact that I enjoyed reading these chapters, so I will probably enjoy more of them. I'm not really intrigued at like getting anything answered. I could see the cast expanding. I almost feel like that has to happen now, like where the general party size is going to increase. I don't think we'll just stay with these 2 forever.
Yeah, that is interesting and a good point.
Maybe it's because I'm just leaning towards the expectations of Berserk, where it starts with the 2 of them, and then you have a couple, you have some stuff, and now it's like, okay, now we can introduce more characters into the group, but it could also just go forward with these 2.
Yeah, the party increasing is, I think, a great idea. I think that has to happen. I don't know what it would be. I bet there's an arc where they got to take an old man around and he's actually, like lying to him or something.
It's kind of interesting because like how do you increase the party, right? Because like
that would be boring. But like Raki needs a little girlfriend.
I feel like with Berserk there's so many different avenues of characters being able to contribute. Whereas here, I feel like it's either you're a Claymore or you're not. So how do you...
this is what it...
Yeah, go for it.
I had an idea. It's like, it's going to be a little Claymore girl, and it's going to be his girlfriend. She's going to be like too young. Yeah, Iraqi's going to be like, you shouldn't have to do this or whatever, because he's like an emotional bleeding heart.
A young Claymore makes sense. But I almost feel like that would be like an arc character rather than a direct companion.
I think that's what it'll be. Yeah, it'll probably be like arc characters where we do this. And maybe they all come back and it like all coalesces at the end. That would be interesting. They did it to a little kid. This is not fair. Yeah. It's all sad.
Well, because they do, like, Claire has it happen to her, like, immediately while she's a kid.
She's in training, and she looks at, and like, she's like, I got put with the number 42. This sucks. But then by the end of the arc, she loves Claire, and she's going around all these places and spreading the great word of Claire around. Something like that, maybe. Interesting. I wonder if any of this is even vaguely true. It would be hilarious if something here is spot on. I don't think that's going to be it, but something we said was probably ingenious.
I do think the idea of a young Claymore going through the process has been hinted at so much, or at least talked about so much, that it's something we have to see.
I feel like we'll just see Claire doing it there.
It could just be Claire. I guess if you're going to introduce another Claymore character into the main party, it would have to be a kid. I don't think you would introduce like another one of the active Claymores, because I feel like it kind of would mess with the dynamic too much. Like going off on a side mission with a group of Claymores would be good, like we did here. But I can't see another Claymore fitting into the party dynamic.
I bet. Okay, another weird pitch here. Okay. So there's a big thing. Claire gets called back to HQ because they're going to send out 30 Claymore to fight one, or there's like a group of something that they're going to fight. And that'll be when a bunch of people die and like the ethics of the organization are put in front of everybody in question. And that'll be a turning point or something. I could see that happening.
I do think there will be a point where we have to get the full scope of the organization. Like,
they're all standing in a field.
There's only 40 something of them. There's only 47, 45, 42, whatever the number was. So I guess we know the scale already, but they are like covering different regions, right? So I guess we'll get a sense for how big are the regions and what does it take to bring them all together. Does that even happen?
Called 30 of them in, and like Yoma attacks her up all over the thing, and that's going to be something they whisper to each other, like, why are we here? The Yomas are attacking everywhere. And it says, this is far more important, says the old man or something. I can see this whole fucking scene.
I think I would have been more intrigued if they said Claire was like number 300. If they put her like, if they implied like the numbers are really high and there's like, like this is such a widespread thing, I would be, I think, more intrigued. But I don't know, maybe if by having it be like a high number that isn't like unfathomably high, maybe there is more opportunity to flesh out every single like Claymore and actually distribute names and personalities across that that span. But I don't know. I guess right now my main point is that with the scope of these two characters, I don't see much more you could do. So I feel like it has to increase.
Sort of like her journey towards finding Priscilla or whatever, which, I mean, that is a story. I feel like it will get grander in certain passes. I am intrigued by the mystery. I would say that is a thing drawing me forward. And I feel like the organization investigating that, et cetera, creepy men following her and saying ominous things, like this will probably continue for like the next few arcs or something until it's blown off. Another thing that I think would be another pitch idea I had was like, they come out with a new type of Claymore that's way stronger than the last ones, and it's slightly different and something like that. And there's like 15 of them, and the other ones are out of the job or something. I don't know. And then they're like part of the big battle at the end. There's like a million ways you can go with it, I guess. One of these has to be but I guess we can move out of our faux prediction stage.
What other thing? I basically said my predictions. Did you have any other predictions in particular?
I have some written down here. Okay, let's just do them all now. Fuck it. Well, I mostly just had questions. I said, what is the organization? Probably the final bad guys, question mark. Who is the mysterious man in the coat, question mark? He seems to be some sort of early Yoma hybrid or something, is what I'm assuming. He's like the original scientist that figured it out or something. That's why he knows everything and why he's following, and he seems to be in charge. What does Awakening Girl want, as in Priscilla? Who knows? But awaken means like she figured something out. I feel like she's got some knowledge or something. And she's going to be very philosophical when we meet her or something. What are Yoma? Where did they come from? We've kind of talked about that a little bit. What are awakened beings? Why do Yoma why do Yoma mix with humans become awakened beings? Are Yomas like there's a god and his little minions are Yoma and they're part god. So if you mix human and Yoma, you're mixing human and god. And that's like an anime thing. In every anime, you become part god and you got crazy powers or something. Maybe, I don't know. Where are we all going bigger picture? Well, I guess we kind of talked about that. What do their tummies look like? And was that just Teresa? Was that an old model?
I'm very curious about that.
I feel like it's just got to be like a gross, big monster face or something.
Yeah, maybe it's like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm sure a procedure was done to create them. I wonder if it's like almost like
a throbbing Yoma heart or something.
I was wondering if it's like going to play into like, I don't know, if you want to go into womanhood a bit more, maybe you could kind of play into like C-section kind of imagery.
Yeah,
perhaps.
Like a baby or something, like or some Death Stranding shit.
More reversed, I would feel.
Yeah,
but still like evoking
because it was
her
stomach,
imagery.
Right?
It was the stomach. Yeah.
Or if they're doing some sort of comment like the procedure making them part Yoma took away their ability to bear children. And what is a woman that can't bear children?
No, I imagine. I can't. Like I know we've kind of
the old Nippon. They're a bit reductive and a bit old school sometimes. This might be something they consider.
Going that far, but that would be. That I feel like that would completely change my perspective on what I'm reading.
Gender essentialism in Vinland Saga. Why not in the Great Claymore here?
Oh my God.
I don't know. We'll see. I feel like it makes sense that they can't have kids, right?
Yeah, I mean, it probably is.
We're gonna have a commentary on it. Yeah.
But I can't see any of them going like, I'm sad that I can't have children. I don't think
definitely one of them at some point is going to do that.
Okay, maybe one. I don't know. I'm sure I'm sure the topic can be handled in a way where I won't be like, oh.
It's a different thing of like the narrator comes up and says they took something far worse than their lives, their abilities to be mothers. The purpose of the woman. I think
I would be like, oh.
That would be. I don't know. At this point, it would be so funny. I might be in on it. It would be crazy. It would be just some of that old Japanese sexism. I used to say that all the time with Attack on Titan, I think. Don't worry, Berserker's full of problematic things, and I still like it, so. I have general points down here. I have character designs and then characters in general. We've kind of talked about characters in general. The girls are cool and the Yoma are okay, but the awakened forms are fucking sick, bro. True. This male awakened guy and Priscilla, I like their designs, both of them, very much. They do look very 2000s, like crazy to me, and I do like it. Did you similarly have the same assessment? Girls are cool, Yoma are okay, awakened beings epic and cool?
I think I was just kind of everything's okay. I don't think any kind of design has really stuck out to me.
I love these awakened guys.
They're effective. I don't know.
Nah, they're sick.
I certainly
you don't
wasn't like blown away in the same way. I think like a Berserk monster design kind of blows me away.
No, they're way better than shitty Berserk monsters. Right. Name a good Berserk monster.
Honestly, there's not that many good Berserk monsters.
Ganishka's pretty cool. He's like lightning. I feel like
a lot of like the random little like designs I think are actually kind of good. Like not like I don't know. I don't really like the designs of like the humanoid characters that have become like demonic, but I do kind of like some of the random
Claymore now.
Berserk. I do kind of like the some like the like magical creatures that are bad. I kind of like their designs because they're kind of nasty
The
in a way that's
trolls and the
intriguing. Like the
kelpie and
trolls.
the
Like I think of the trolls.
yeah.
Yeah. Compared to like they're very humanoid in this, and in some ways that almost kind of falls flat creatively
Yeah, I
to
think the
me.
Yoma are boring. I think they're kind of just like blobs of
The
like
Yoma definitely are
vaguely.
completely uninteresting. The awakened beings come closer, but I'm also like
Oh,
I
they're
feel like
so
you
cool.
could
They
go
got
further
horns
with
and
it.
wings. I like wings. Angel wings, demonic
Wings are
angel wings.
cool.
That's the coolest thing ever. I like the texture on the male guy's skin. That was really cool. I don't know. I like both of them a whole hell of a lot. I think like the awakening of Priscilla is like one of the coolest artistic moments.
It was pretty
Um,
good. I think it's a good draw actually that the main antagonist, like I mean right now Priscilla is kind of like I do think the
yeah,
organization
she's
is
like the
going to be
overarching goal.
ultimately the main antagonistic force, but I do think right now, yeah, Priscilla is the goal, and in that way she is the antagonist. And it's kind of interesting that it is a, another female character rather than like, oh, I'm going after this man that hurt me. I'm kind of glad it's like a
Yeah.
female character who fell for her own reasons. I think that kind of bodes well for the antagonistic writing.
Even though I think in the end it will be the man that hurt all these girls that'll probably be the main bad guy, but he's probably got a super strong girl that's fighting for him, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, I
Um,
guess we'll see um, how much that, I don't know, what angle they come at it for the organization.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely think like there's gonna be some sort of Priscilla twist where she's not like the bad guy. I don't know if she's gonna be expressly a good guy, but I think she'll be like, "You don't understand. Being awakened means I know this, and they're the bad guys, actually," type thing. Um, we'll see. I feel like it's like a mid-series climax, not the end of series climax or something.
Yeah, I could see
Um,
that too.
But then just in terms of characters, generally I just wrote down that Claire, Teresa, and Raki are like the main ones. Claire and Teresa are obviously, I would say, a tier above Raki. I think Teresa was definitely my favorite character. Um, what else? I just have all the fucking, it's like Guts and Puck, genius. Nobody's thought about that yet. Though Claire obviously cares. True. I didn't like that is not my favorite trope, is like the pretending she doesn't care.
Yeah.
And then that part's fine, but then like when it comes out in these big emotional moments, I'm like, oh, okay.
Agreed.
I don't know about this. Maybe a little too quickly for my liking. Look, I'm a genius. It's kinda nicely tied into the backstory, I suppose, true, where it's mirrored with Claire and Teresa. But I guess I would be shocked if either Claire or Teresa weren't your favorite characters. Do you have another one, dark horse favorite character?
Nah, it's just Teresa. I mean, I
Yeah.
like Claire a lot too, and I think I like Claire a lot more after the backstory and as she's compared to other Claymores afterwards. But I think Teresa was definitely the best character in this volume. Well, set of volumes, set of chapters.
I agree. I did like Claire immediately though. I don't know, just like the stoic cool girl is always a character I like. She's like mysterious. What situations can we put her in where she'll have to be interesting or something like that? And obviously the manga's like, we'll give her a little son. And I'm like, but give her a little kiss. Oh yeah, now this is interesting. But yeah, so I like Claire a lot. She's a cool girl. I guess I keep saying she's number 4, the girl from after the flashback.
Mhm.
She was interesting. Um,
Yeah, I did
feel
like
like
her. She was good.
we probably got the most out of her. And I guess all the individual characters, all the little bit characters were cool. Like there was when the 4 girls that were attacking Teresa, there was Priscilla, and then there was like the main orderly one, and there was the 2 wacky ones. Like their characterization was interesting and worked for the little period they were in it.
I do think it was actually good to show Claymores that aren't so cold because they're a little cold, but they're kind of silly with it. You're right, and that was interesting to me actually when I was reading because like you have
They're
the
kinda
one that's
unhinged.
kind of really spunky, and when she attacks Teresa
Yeah.
from behind, she's kind of like got her tongue stuck out and stuff. She's like being silly with it. That
Yeah.
was interesting to me because I kind of expected them all to be this like kind of stoic cold, like their human emotions have been taken away, but it's kind of not the case, and that kind of makes Claire stand out a little bit.
Yeah. Fuck, I had something towards the beginning that I thought was interesting that I wanted to comment on. But of course I've forgotten it. Wacky. Oh, this Wacky was something. They were crazy. They were doing the damn thing. I forgot. But yeah, and then later, obviously, I feel like there was 4, including Claire, and I feel like the other 2 were kind of interchangeable, because I think the other one, the one that was Casca and the one that wasn't Casca, even the other one had like kind of short hair, so that made it even an extra bit confusing there for me a little bit. But I think I figured out which one was which most of the time.
I think some of the Claymores like blend together a little bit because they're all wearing the same outfit, and they all have Claymores, and they all have the like white hair, fair skin. It's kind of all like their hair and slight difference in like their faces is kind of the only thing really differentiating them at the moment.
Yeah, like in my head, the stoic one from the flashback and the number 4 stoic one from afterwards, Same. I could not picture them at all. They must look identical to me.
I agree.
And then the spunky one also had short hair. So it's like, and it is like, well, how many hairstyles can you really do? But I assume there's going to be a lot more of these girls, so we better figure out this problem. I mean, just having like one other one around fixes this problem, right? Because Claire has relatively distinct shortish hair. But yeah, the girls, crazy. Man, I'm still hung up on that point. I forgot. It must have been genius. The early manga feeling, I talked about this. I had a bunch of standout moments written down, but I think we already talked about all of these. And then I have my more default miscellaneous. I don't know if you have any general other things you want to go over, or we can go into miscellaneous stuff and sort of wrap things up.
No, I think we covered everything I wanted to cover, so go for it.
Yeah. What a manga. Anyway, let's see what I have written down here. It's cool that the Guts archetype is a girl with a little boy companion. She's even doing the I don't even care about you Barker gimmick. True. Now, these are like the notes that I had left over that were like as I was going, so... And then I have an all exclamation, all caps lock here, naked in the second chapter, which is meant half sarcastically. So that was true. We talked about that already, though. Claire is pretty cool. She fights cool. Can't argue there. I didn't expect the kid to be a reoccurring character. True. I was hating on Raki.
Really, I feel like I clocked that from the moment. Like, that is just like, duh. Like, all of these, like Monster, Berserk, they all do it. It's the kid companion. So
well, the great Dita was only introduced in like chapter 15. Okay,
well, yeah, I mean,
Monster
had a pretty big establishing period.
Yeah, like intro stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I also think I interpreted him at the end as like saying goodbye to her, and like that maybe he would come back way later or something. But no, he was just following it like the next chapter. We have black cards. I feel like we are going to regret killing this sister girl off so soon. True, when they like killed off like her best friend from back in the day, I was like, this is probably something you want to save for like the end of the second act or something, but we're doing it in chapter 4, but okay. I feel like we're going to get a lot of fleshing out of this character if we ever have flashbacks, and it's going to be like... I
think so too.
Yeah, I really wish we had kept this character alive. This would be a lot more interesting, but we killed her, so okay. The Claire twist was cute. Different mysterious guy collecting the money too. Looks more Yoma-like. True, that was different. That half of that reminded me of that point I forgot earlier, where it was like a different guy collecting the money. Because I remember it. It was cute how we had the repetition of like the speech that they would all give, and that
yes.
And then the twist on it when Teresa's like, "Oh,
I guess I'm not working with them anymore." Yeah. That was really good.
She like just enjoys the like benefits without like the like she gets a room and she's like, oh cool, and can you take care of Claire so I can leave her behind finally? And it's like, oh, this is all like cool stuff. I really like that because it was even though we were only like 25 chapters in, it was a thing that you like understood. I feel like a lot of shows have that where they do a twist on that like further towards the back end.
Yeah, and I guess that's really interesting because it kind of shows that the fact that everyone is so scared of Claymores doesn't really have anything to do with the power as much as it has to do with how the organization makes them function. Because when Teresa just helps them, and she's like, can I like get a room? I guess that'd be nice. Everyone's like really thankful to her, and they're not like afraid of her. So that's another like point against the organization.
Because there's also the tacit threat where it's like, oh, clearly this is like a morally ambiguous organization, where it's like, you know, I hear that the last guy that didn't pay got a couple of Yoma visits or something.
True.
So
like
there's like a threat too.
Yep.
Yeah. Now this could also tie into my conspiracy that they created the Yoma and the solution here.
That's what
so
I'm thinking too. I do think because again, the fact that there's no kind of wider magical world being hinted at, it makes me feel like this is like, and the fact that Yoma and Claymore are two sides of the same coin, and that human society has been able to build up. It kind of implies to me that Yoma appeared, like they suddenly started being a problem rather than being something that's always been a kind of intrinsic part of the world.
Yeah, it's like that the Attack on Titan anime intro 100 ago. Titan suddenly the Yoma appeared. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think that's probably where the Attack on Titan comparisons come in.
Yeah, it could be. But yes, that was that point. A bunch of reoccurring stories about characters not wanting to admit their emotions only to in a moment of drama. Not exactly my favorite trope. It was better when Claire and Teresa did it. The theme of general rule is too general to be just is a little generic. Oh, that was sort of complaining about how Teresa, like, you can't kill humans, and like that's kind of a stupid rule. It's just here for like story development or whatever.
Because I feel like I kind of get it.
But
like
I liked it in the end.
They're going for like Claymores are so above humans that it's almost like we're not creating Claymores to solve the problem of humanity. We're Claymores are created to solve the problem of Yoma.
Just for Yoma.
So like,
but they also have
if people need to be
reason.
ruled and judged over, that can be done by humans. I feel like that's they're kind of like keeping to their own territory. But I do think it's stupid because like, yeah, if like these bandits are massacring a village, like, are you really just gonna have a Claymore sit there and watch? I do feel like it's too much.
Yeah. But yeah, they also had the practical reason of like it's good for business because they know that like they can't be hurt or whatever by a Claymore. But that sort of just plays into like the this isn't like a just system. I guess at this point I assume that like when Teresa like goes against them, it's going to be seen as like a moral indiscretion, which was interesting because that was Priscilla's whole thing where she was like judging Teresa a little bit. She was also curious why she did it. And then she was like judging her for breaking the rules. And it's like, obviously rules should be followed type character. But then obviously she broke the rules pretty harshly and then became an awakened being. So that was like an interesting little Priscilla development, little both character and thematic thing there. The other Claymores in their introductions, I don't know what that means. Awakened beings, true. Men have no self-control surrounding pleasure and therefore are all unsuccessful Claymores. We talked about that. A bad dude fighting out. She's Mira a second time. Oh, this is like the girl. But I feel like there was 2 moments where he found out who she was. And I was like, is this like an error? Because it was like at the end of a chapter and then like the middle of the next chapter, he's like, you're mirror of the... And she could move fast or whatever was her power. But this
yeah, there was kind of a lot of...
This at all.
There was kind of also very kind of shonen battle manga. Like everyone's like, oh, you're like this strong character and this is your title. This is what you're good at. This is your gimmick.
Titles are cool. We like titles here.
It's fun. Yeah.
But yeah, and that was my last little note here. And I did just get the first battery, so we might be coming up on a timely exit here. I think I've said all the things I could say about these first 30 chapters. I think it was 6.5 volumes. I'm very excited to read more. If you have some Claymore fans in your fan base and they have a good idea on a stopping point for the next one, I'm open to hear it. I would prefer if it was the end of a arc. I don't really want to stop in the middle of one. I think that leads to like bad predictions where we'll just be predicting the end of the arc and then we'll probably think about it too hard and then
I agree.
It's like the Chainsaw Man Part 2 effect.
I think 30 chapters was a good length, so I think what we should do is probably read up to
we'll
around
aim for
that
a
point.
One.
Yeah,
and
find a good stopping point in there. But yes, if anybody watching does have a good recommendation of places to stop, maybe like to segment out the whole story, that would be great. So we can have a better idea of what we should aim for.
But also, because I'm going to read them first, because, I'm quick with it.
You probably will, yeah.
I will, maybe just ignore you and say, well, I kind of want to read another more arc. So, maybe I reserve that right. But we'll see, yeah. We still want the suggestions anyway, please.
Yes, suggestions, please.
But that's all I've got. All Claymore. I'm excited.
All right, yeah. More. I'm looking forward to. I feel like I kind of gave a impression that I'm not really interested in any of the questions.
You hate Claymore. Admit it.
I just enjoyed what I read, and I would read more Claymore. And I have hopes that it's going to now kind of expand. Obviously, we kind of picked an arbitrary point to stop, but it's kind of starting to expand itself already. I feel like we got a taste of that with this arc. So I'm just kind of eager to be more intrigued rather than being intrigued at what I've already seen, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know when we will get to the next one. We'll kind of have to we'll try to play it by ear basically, but hopefully quite soon, because I definitely, when I wrapped up reading my 30 chapters, I wanted to read more, so I expect I will be reading more as soon as I can.
Me too. A month ago I was excited to read more. My goodness. Anyway.
Do you have anything you want to plug besides the things we have plugged already?
All the Mia discussions are over there on Secondary ENT. You can find them there.
Link below, yes.
There's also a Stream VODs channel. There's a Twitch channel. We do streams sometimes, like 2 or 3 times a week. And then there's a main channel with silly Pokemon videos on it. You wouldn't like it.
And then I have absolutely nothing because Vinland Saga's dead. So,
Claymore scripted videos coming soon from me.
We'll see. We'll see if I like it enough. But yeah, I think I probably will. I probably will like it. I'm sure. It's either going to stay at 8 the whole time or maybe push up to a 9. But if it pushes up to a 10, let's go.
That's crazy.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm in the same camp. It's like, if I get an idea, I'll make a video, sure. But I'd probably want to finish it first.
Probably, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, links below. Go check out Kyle. Thanks for watching. Bye.
You almost said the thing.
I'm not going to take your outro.